People paying money to see me in a 20 by 20 ring.
Welcome back, wrestling fans. This is episode 27 of the 20 by 20 Ring Crew. I am your host, Joe. I'm here with my brother, Matt. What's up, Matt?
What's going on?
We are watching Ring of Honor, their second show ever. Happened on March 30th, 2002. And we just witnessed a leg break, or at least an ankle break. I'm not even sure who that was.
It was fucking gross, so I'll tell you that much. As you see, a very young Briscoe brothers.
The boys. Good God, they're babies.
I love how they were in wrestling gear.
Very young. Oh God, I'm having a brain fart, man. Help me out.
Oh, right there.
Yes.
That's the Brian Kendrick.
Thank you,
Before he was the
very young Brian Kendrick in the ring.
Those pants.
He's got some very loose pants on. And his wrestling boots look like old people New Balance. Yeah, that leg break or that ankle break was disgusting. Nevertheless, we're back for another episode here this week. After our last episode, which we had talked about the Evolve and Progress shows that we went to a couple weeks ago. And, man, it's a good time to be a wrestling fan. It really is. So much shit going on. So many places to go and cards to see and all of that. It's awesome. We got All In coming up here.
Yeah.
In, a little over a week. Can't wait. I'm super excited. I was looking at t-shirts. I think I'm going to buy one of the commemorative t-shirts.
Yeah, looks like they got a few exclusives for the event. So I've already told the wife, it's like, look, we're not going to be netting that week. Like, I'm just gonna anything that we have, any kind of extra money we have to spend, I'm spending it all. So.
Spending it all.
That's what all the raises were for. That's for All In.
It says that on your check stub.
It does, yeah. It says All In, your regular work week, overtime, All In money.
So we've been talking a lot about indie wrestling lately.
Yes.
And again, we're just in the midst of a boom, and it's awesome. And we hope you're going on the same kind of ride we're going, and trying to go out there and watch indie wrestling, and well, wrestling in general, but indie wrestling near you, indie wrestling on streams, on YouTube, however you can find to digest and absorb professional wrestling, folks. That's what we're here to help you do. With that in mind, there was a big event that you and I really didn't cover too much because we were kind of waiting until we had proper time to do so, and that is the New Japan Pro Wrestling G1 Climax 2018, which is 28th annual overall. One of the most prestigious tournaments going on in professional wrestling today.
In any company.
Yes.
Yes.
It was from July 14th through August 12th, and you have 2 blocks for those who are not familiar. You have a block A and a block B. Each night of the tour had alternating blocks, so night 1 was block A, night 2 was block B, and so forth and so on. They begin each show with mixed tag team matches with participants and non-participants in the tournament, and it's to give you a preview of what's to come for the following night. So if Tomohiro Ishii was in a match with Toru Yano in a tag match with other partners, eventually you would see them the next night fight each other. That's kind of the way it goes.
Yeah.
How do you want to do this? You want to go night by night? Did you
Wow.
watch it all?
You know what? There was some shows that I missed given the family situation going on.
Yes.
So I didn't watch every single show, but and I've gone back to watch some, but I've seen enough. And however you want to do it, I'll follow your lead. But I tell you this right now, ladies and gentlemen, if you have not watched it, and if we hopefully pique your interest by talking about it again, because we have brought it up before, do yourself a favor and get that New Japan World subscription, because it's all in English, all 19 shows.
First time ever.
First time ever, too. That's a big deal. We're watching the Ring of Honor show real quick here, the second annual. I'm thinking back, because I was 12 when the show happened. And it's like, even as a kid, I would have loved to have been in the world that we live in today, where I can come home from school, throw on something on the internet, and watch wrestling all the time. I didn't have to wait for Monday nights or Thursday nights.
You know what? I never thought of that. That's a good fucking point. I too. Oh my god. Growing up, I had access to stuff like that, but it wasn't as readily available.
Right.
I do remember coming home and I couldn't wait to watch Clash of the Champions whenever they had a Clash of the Champions or something like that. But yeah, it wasn't all the time.
It was cool. For me, it was TNA. They're my freshman and sophomore year of high school.
TNA on TV or
TNA on TV?
The pay-per-views?
Yeah, no, the regular TV when I was on Fox Sports.
Oh yeah, okay.
Because it was Friday afternoon at 3 o'clock. So as soon as I got home from the bus, I had wrestling to watch, even if it was just for an hour. But it was a good way to start off your weekend. Friday afternoon wrestling, and it was very old school, because you always, for me growing up, it was, there used to be like Saturday morning wrestling and all that stuff, and it's like, that'd be cool. That'd be cool to have that. I never had that. I had Monday nights, Thursday nights, Wednesday nights for Thunder for a while, that shitty show. I had Friday nights and Saturday nights with ECW, but that was, again, it wasn't as readily available, and I'm preaching to the choir for all our fans my age and older fans. It's like, yeah, we know, but like, it's so cool. Like, now, no matter if you're an adult or if you're a kid, you have wrestling available all the time.
All the time.
There's no excuse. Like, I don't like this.
Yeah, there is.
Watch this instead.
Yeah, there really is no excuse, and that's kind of the sore spot with us lately. Is like, you get all these people who we've talked to, and like,
we're so bored with the product.
And you're like, you know what? There's a plethora of other options out there, paid and unpaid. You know, I mean, you can go on YouTube, and most of the places who have streaming services will give you full free matches on YouTube.
Yep.
I mean, you might not get a whole show, but what you get is what you get, and it's not like you're necessarily missing out. I mean, it's free to give you a taste. I mean, you're going to be watching quality content.
Exactly, and that includes international stuff like New Japan Pro Wrestling.
Progress has free stuff on YouTube.
Progress, Rev Pro, Define Wrestling has their weekly show is aired every Friday on YouTube at 4 or 3 o'clock Central Time. Because again, we are from Illinois, but so figure out the time in your own area. But it's a live stream. So when they go live in the UK, they're going live on YouTube all around the world every week.
That's awesome.
Monthly pay-per-views that you have to pay for, but again, their weekly shows are free on their channel. You don't have to pay anything. You don't have to subscribe to their channel, although I would recommend to give them support. But it's a lot of companies are just saying, here's our product.
Yeah.
If not giving you the whole thing, they're giving you a really big piece, not a really big taste, not just a little glimpse, little highlights here and there. They'll give you full matches. They're like, hey, we got way more of this if you want to come subscribe and this and that. And again, with New Japan Pro Wrestling World, it's $9, $9 or $10. Again, we pay in yen, so it's like it's kind of weird how it fluctuates. But you got the international currency thing going on. But anyways, it's about anywhere from $8 to $10, somewhere along those lines. It's relatively cheap. you're paying either the same amount or less as you would for the WWE Network.
And they have quite a bit of content on there already, and there's
exclusive stuff, interviews,
things you don't necessarily think you would see or have access to is on there. I mean, you have Ric Flair, you have Vader.
Yeah,
you have and in multiple decades too. I mean, there's stuff on there from the 70s.
The 70s, all the way from 72, which was their first year.
Yeah, so you get a good healthy mix of everything. And again, not everything is in English, but they are working on that.
Yes.
And they are making a lot more English commentary or English translations available. So, but it's definitely worth it. For the $8 to $10 a month, there's a fuck ton of shit on there.
You have 19 shows in a span of a month for this tournament that has so much significance. Again, the winner gets a IWGP Heavyweight Championship match at Wrestle Kingdom. Wrestle Kingdom, as we said before on the show, is, and I hate doing this, but the equivalent to WrestleMania as far as New Japan goes. You know, as far as the spectacle, it's not WrestleMania. WrestleMania is bigger. But as far as the overall production, WrestleMania's got nothing on Wrestle Kingdom.
Yeah.
Not even close. And you can challenge me on that all day long. You'd be wrong. All day long. But G1 28, man, you know, I don't know about going through every show again because I didn't get a chance to watch every single one. But let's go all the way back to night one.
Okay.
And let's go. Let's start with the main event.
That would be Jay White and Kazuchika Okada, if I'm not mistaken.
That's correct. Yes.
All right. So Jay White defeats Kazuchika Okada via pinfall.
Yes.
That's night one right away.
And one of the greatest going into G1, you had the G1 special in San Francisco where it ended with the Tongans turning on the rest of the Bullet Club and staking claim that they are the real Bullet Club. And now that you have Tama Tonga in Block B with Kenny Omega, that's really like, holy shit, like, that's going to be interesting. We'll see what this goes. And, you know, Bad Luck Fale staked his claim where he was the one that gave the order, essentially. Hangman Page is in his block. And it's like, oh, man, things have got really interesting. Like, let's see where this goes. Jay White, at that same show, lost the United States Heavyweight title to Juice Robinson in what's now been a controversial match because of the Jim Ross situation. But he loses the title. He's in this tournament, and he's kind of one of those guys that you look at, it's like, I could see him doing well, but more than likely he's not going to be a threat to take this block.
Okay.
I wouldn't be surprised if they gave him a push, but you know, he's kind of like that borderline guy. Goes in there against Kazuchika Okada, who is coming off of the Dominion loss to Kenny Omega, where he lost the title after holding on to it for over or almost 2 years. Over almost 1 and 2. But let's call it a 2-year reign. And you and I, when we started talking about the G1, making our predictions, Kazuchika Okada was one of the front runners. He was my pick. I don't remember off the top of my head if he was yours, but he was my pick to take Block A.
He was not my pick.
Okay, he wasn't your pick. So you have this match. It's the first match. It's Chaos versus Chaos, which is not uncommon. This is what's gonna happen in this tournament. You're gonna have guys on the same teams face each other. It happens every year now. But then Jay White, you know, it starts off as, you know, a good, clean fight, or at least as clean as a Jay White match can be at this point. And then you see the change, and it's by any means necessary. He's going to take this match. He is not going to lose this match because he is going to break every single rule in the book to get a victory over Kazuchika Okada. And it just ends in such controversy. Jay White wins the match, as you said. And from that moment, he flat out says, "That's my Rainmaker," and declaring himself the new leader of Chaos. To the dismay of Rocky Romero, who was doing commentary, did commentary throughout the entire event, who was also a member of Chaos. But from that first day, like right away, they you have the Bullet Club situation going on. That's very much an anticipated situation, and it's like, holy shit, I didn't see that one coming.
That definitely set the tone for the entire tournament.
And you do it night one.
Yeah, that was major.
Great booking.
Yeah, that was very major. I'm gonna step off to the side here. Let's talk about Jay White. You just said he was the on the fence guy. Obviously they're pushing him, but like, just how far are they going to push him?
Yeah, exactly.
He ends up with 12 points for the entire tournament, which is not too shabby.
Yeah,
given it that this was his first go around.
Third place in
third
the pool.
Right, third place overall. More importantly here, aside from him trying to take over Chaos, he beat Kazuchika Okada and Hiroshi Tanahashi.
Yeah.
Those are like career-making victories.
The guys who end up finishing in the top two in the pool.
So
he defeats, yeah.
Let's look into the future here. And how possible, how viable do you think it is that we see Jay White go after that briefcase before the end of the year?
I hope they do it. I hope they do it at, more than likely it would come down either, if it's not going to happen right away, at the Destruction Tour. I can see it happening in November with Power Struggle. Jay White, again, he's quickly becoming this mega heel. And it's, God, I know I'm going to get grief from some people by saying this, but it's almost like the old school Kenny Omega, where it's like everything he does is just so dashly you hate it. You hate it, but you want to watch more.
You do. You absolutely do.
He's getting so much better in that ring, and then his character is so arrogant and is, again, so dashly that there's nothing he's not going to do to get what he wants. And I think it's very fitting that he be the guy to challenge for that briefcase.
I agree. That's why I brought it up. I mean, to see the evolution of his character in this tournament. You're talking about 19 shows.
Yeah.
He went from Jay White, the Switchblade, U.S. Heavyweight Champion, to fucking super mega heel.
Yeah. All eyes were on him.
It was nuts.
Let me ask you this though, and again, we're kind of jumping around here. Bear with us. Jay White, and if he does challenge for that briefcase, do you think it'd be wise to give it to him? How dashly do you go with that character, and how big would that be if he's the guy to do that, to take that spot in such a manner, especially if he wins it the same way that he was winning his matches in the G1.
I don't. You know what? I don't know. If they to put him in the match is one thing. To give him the briefcase is a whole other thing. And right now, the IWGP Heavyweight Champion is Kenny Omega. I don't know if that's the best possible booking for Wrestle Kingdom.
Right.
I don't know that. Again, I'm on the fence about him. I don't know if he's there yet. As even though I loved the progression of his character through these 19 shows, mm-hmm. I still don't know if he's the guy.
Not quite yet.
But then that leads us to another question, like, who is the guy? Let's not answer that right now.
Yeah.
But I'm just saying in general. Night one, the tournament results were Toji Makabe defeating Yoshihashi, Hangman Page defeat Bad Luck Fale via DQ, Michael Elgin defeated Evil, Hiroshi Tanahashi defeated Minoru Suzuki, and then Jay White defeated Kazuchika Okada. This is night one. There was a hell of a lot of things going on. I mean, the whole Bullet Club versus Bullet Club, they're being called the Bullet Club OGs and the Bullet Club Elite at this point.
Yeah.
The Bullet Club OGs wasted no time with the interference. Right away, right off the bat, giving shit to Hangman Page. So Hangman Page gets an easy 2 points courtesy of the OGs. And again, setting the tone for what would be a long and treacherous 19 shows for the Bullet Club. Another story here is Yoshihashi, man. You know, I've had access to the New Japan product for quite some time now, and it gets brought up more often than not where Yoshihashi is on the fence, like, does he even belong on the roster anymore?
That's extreme.
You know, and but you would get people like, you'd get,
Yeah.
you know, maybe it was just no, I take that back. It wasn't just the English commentary team. It was both commentary teams. It was, you know, other people in the company. They're like, you know, Yoshihashi, he's got to step it up, otherwise he might not have a place on the roster anymore. And you look at him and you're like, yeah, but dude's fighting injuries, especially with his shoulder. He's had the shoulder injury for like 8 or 9 months already, and he's wrestled like that the entire time. Like, sooner or later it's going to catch up with you.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I felt the same way. Like, man, show me something. Do something. You know, someone needed to light a fire under his ass. And maybe this was the beginning of that. I mean, because he did have spots within the tournament where, you know, not only did he win, but they were like surprising victories, because it was like he showed up. He showed up like a whole different wrestler. And you're like, damn, where's this guy been all this time, you know? And he still wrestled hurt.
Yeah.
So it wasn't like he was all of a sudden better and this is why he was winning, you know? But that, again, another awesome story out of this tournament is Yoshihashi and his just general performance. I was surprised at some of the wins that he got.
Against Michael Elgin.
Yeah, defeat Michael Elgin. If I'm not mistaken, he beat Hangman Page.
I believe so, yeah.
So, you know, and his performance against Bad Luck Fale, again, you had Bullet Club interference, but it's like, damn, where has this guy been? You know, and overall, I think he was still pretty wishy-washy during the tournament, but it was nice to see. It was like a breath of fresh air to see him actually battle back and win some of these matches. The last point for myself here for night one, Tanahashi versus Suzuki. I sat there and watched that match, and my jaw dropped. And I'm like, damn, this is night one. You've got 18 more shows to go through. And they're clearly just like, there's zero fucks given. I mean, it's bad enough that you have Suzuki, who is he's damn near a sadist, and for Tanahashi to kind of answer back and do similar things back to Suzuki, that was just intense to watch. But you really couldn't help it. He couldn't help it, because Suzuki was beating the ever-loving crap out of Tanahashi. There was more than a handful of times where I winced to myself just watching the match, like, damn, that had to hurt. Damn, that had to hurt. So this is still one of my top 3 matches, my favorite matches out of this entire tournament, and it happened on night one. Your thoughts?
I remember you watched it before me, and you told, like, you posted on the Facebook page about just that match, like you just a loss of words. And
Facebook.com/groups/20x20talk.
You were right on the money. So I watched that match, and anytime that you get 2 guys of that caliber, and I think it's always special too when you have something like, and the same thing with Mexican wrestling, with the Japanese wrestlers, where you have these seasoned veterans that have been around forever, it seems, and they go at it, they get a chance to have this kind of platform to perform on, and you have two guys that make very little mistakes in that ring. So everything that I saw Suzuki do to Tanahashi brought me back to the traditional style of scientific wrestling, but on a more extreme level. Because he wasn't just picking apart, he was picking apart and he was destroying it. I'm surprised Tanahashi was able to walk after this match.
Still an understatement.
And it was great. It was great to see that, and you can tell too that Tanahashi was taking it, but he had so much trust in that ring for a guy like Suzuki, and you can see that, and that gets overlooked a lot.
Yeah.
When guys are getting their asses handed to them like that gets overlooked a lot. That it's like it's okay. It's okay that you do this to me. Very good storytelling, very good chemistry in that ring, and it was some of the things that they were doing were just it was the same thing. It was. I look at the actual overall time, and it's hard for me to believe that was less than 15-minute match.
Exactly.
You know?
Oh my God, you're feeling that pain. You're feeling his pain, and so if you've ever been in any kind of pain, you know it. Like your mind goes to a different place.
Yeah.
And it lingers. You lose track of time.
Right.
And for me, watching that match, I'm like, damn. He's just enduring all this pain, hit after hit. And I'm thinking they wrestled like 35, 37 minutes. No, less than 15.
Less than 15. So, yeah, it was one hell of a fucking way to start that show. That entire show was night 1 and night 2 were probably two of my favorites overall.
Yeah.
Like it
was hellacious.
It was hellacious. They knew what they were doing when they were booking those matches. My God, what a way to start.
Night 2 was the 15th of July in Tokyo. It featured B block matches for the first time. You have Ishii defeating Toru Yano via pinfall, Tama Tonga defeating Juice Robinson, Hiroki Goto defeating Sonata, Kota Ibushi defeating Zack Sabre Jr., and the main event was Kenny Omega defeating Tetsuya Naito. Again, fucking barn burner after barn burner after barn burner. And you're right, man. This is another awesome night. And, it's night 2, first night of the B block, but talk about set the fucking tone. Any thoughts on night 2?
Well, of course, I got to start with Naito versus Omega. That was... for a lot of people, especially after the Kenny Omega remarks on the Japanese wrestlers' work ethic and hunger for business, to see Naito come out there in typical Naito fashion, but amped up a lot.
Yeah.
Like, you talk about somebody that had no rush to get in that ring. He was fucking around with his attire. It wasn't even coming off correctly. He had the referee coming out, take it off. Like, just very, very much just like, I don't give a fuck. I don't give a fuck mentality. And then the bell rang and you saw the two go at it. And there was some definitely stiff moments in that match, to say the least. But overall, it just, whatever beef there is, if there still is one, outside the ring, what I loved about it is that you didn't really fully see that inside that ring. You saw an intense matchup. There's no doubt about that. But there was no beef in the sense of, well, I'm not doing this because you pissed me off. It was more or less, I'm going to outdo you. Whatever you do, I'm going to do better. And that's professional wrestling done right.
Yes.
So it was a very good way to end the first round of block matches for both blocks, to see those two go at it. Obviously, the rematch from last year in the final round that Tetsuya Naito won. To see them go out and do it again, it was fitting to do it night 1 as well, and it was a hell of a match. And I personally, at this point, was pulling for Naito.
So was I.
And I'm a huge Kenny Omega fan. I was pulling for Naito in this one, and I was I wasn't disappointed or shocked, but I was really pulling for him to take that one, and I didn't expect Kenny Omega, not to jump ahead too far, but Kenny Omega to have the run that he had right off the bat.
You know what? I'm not worried about spoilers here. For those of you listening, you have to understand, we're going to spoil matches for you, but you need to go back and watch these matches.
It doesn't matter who wins them at this point. Like, it does, but it doesn't.
Yeah.
Like, just go back and watch. And Kevin Kelly even said it the best when for the final night. He's like, look, it's there for everybody, anybody who's got jobs or busy daily lives and are trying to play catch up. Like, it's all there. As he plugged the New Japan Pro Wrestling World. That was the best way to do it. Like, we understand it's really hard to watch 19 3 to 4 hour long shows, even in a month's time. Especially if you watch other wrestling too. So we're not just trying to kick your butt and say, oh, shame on you for missing it, but it's there. So even if you wait 3-4 months from now, it's there. And really, seriously, go back and watch these matches. Even if you don't watch them all, like the Tanahashi and Suzuki one, highly recommended you watch it. Same thing with Naito and Omega and so many others out there. It's really hard to watch it all, and that's fine if you don't, but there's a lot of good fucking wrestling. Even if you jump around, that's fine. But do yourself a favor and watch it.
You make an awesome point, but that wasn't even the point I was trying to make. My point is, we are spoiling them for you, but they're so good. Go back and watch them.
Oh yeah.
And the other part of that is, it isn't always like that with certain companies that most people watch these days. I'm trying not to say them by name because I think I've said it enough, but
yeah, I have no idea what you're talking about.
Yeah, so again, don't get me wrong. Like, I'm not trying to pick on them, but they do a lot of shit wrong. They shoot themselves in the foot, and we just want to watch good wrestling. And they're highly capable of that, and it doesn't always happen that way. It happens a lot less frequently these days.
Yeah, here's the thing that maybe makes me a stupid fan because I forgot who actually won it for a while. Now I can tell you who wins it. But I remember watching at a very young age the Macho Man Ricky Steamboat WrestleMania 3 match.
Oh, okay.
And obviously one of the most talked about matches in WrestleMania history.
It's one of my favorite matches of all time.
Yeah, and you know what? For the longest time, I couldn't tell you who won the match. I forgot. I forgot who won. I was like, I don't know. Somebody wins, but I was like, but I do remember some of the spots. Mm-hmm. And it's like, so I go back and I watch, and I'm like, man, this is such a great match. It doesn't matter who wins the match. Especially now. It's all the way back to 1987. It doesn't matter who fucking wins. Just like most professional wrestling, when professional wrestling is done right, yeah, you can have your favorites and get involved in the storyline. That's part of the show. But when you have A+ matches, win or lose, if your guy or girl wins or loses, it don't matter. It's still an A+ match.
You're absolutely right about the storytelling. Not to veer too far off the beaten path here, but in the old school wrestling group on Facebook that I'm a part of,
okay,
someone had posted a picture of the Ultimate Warrior celebrating his victory over Hulk Hogan at WrestleMania.
Okay.
And if you listen to enough interviews or read enough interviews with Hulk Hogan, he doesn't see the history, the past that he has gone through quite the same as everybody else. And he's been known for telling some fibs and some lies here and there,
okay,
that don't add up to actually what happened. But the guy had posted the picture of Ultimate Warrior celebrating in the ring, and it's like so close up that you could see people at ringside and their reactions. And he had replied with a comment like, "Holy shit! For once, Hogan's telling the truth." Everybody was paying attention to Hogan leaving, instead of watching the Warriors celebrate. And sure as shit, I'd say like 90% of the people at ringside were all staring at Hogan as he's leaving, as opposed to the Warriors celebrating his win over Hogan.
Yeah.
But enough about that company. We're talking about G1 Climax 28 for New Japan Pro Wrestling, and we just finished off night 2. This is first night of B Block. The bigger story here with the B Block and Tetsuya Naito is he failed.
Yeah.
There was such high hopes for him coming into this tournament, not just from himself, but his stablemates in Los Ingobernables. A lot of the fans in New Japan, like, he was up there. He was a definite contender to win this entire tournament. And for whatever reason, that didn't happen. And it has become kind of a big disappointment, not necessarily to Naito himself, but to the fans. A lot of people were pulling for him.
Do you think this chase for the title is becoming too much, too long? Because he's been chasing this damn thing for a long time now.
He has, and you know what? It's not that I don't wish him success, but I told you way back when that he wasn't going to get that title anytime soon. And look, here we are now. He still hasn't gotten it.
Yeah.
And I think he'll have his time. I guess I'm answering my previous question when it came to being on the fence with Jay White. Does Jay White get the nod and go up against Kenny Omega? I don't think so, man. I think
not yet for Jay White.
I don't think it's not. I think it's not yet for Jay White. As a matter of fact, the way it's shaping up. Again, I could be wrong. I fantasy book 50-50 just like everybody else. But here's the chance for, hey, let's push Jay White. Let's give him that briefcase, but let's let Tetsuya Naito have a shot at that briefcase just in time before Wrestle Kingdom hits.
Yeah.
So I could definitely see that happening. And this isn't a shot at Jay White, but I would much rather see Naito versus Omega all over again.
Do it again at Wrestle Kingdom.
And do it again at Wrestle Kingdom.
I agree. I wholeheartedly agree with that.
I really don't think Jay White's up there yet. He's made a huge stride.
Yeah.
But he's just not there yet.
Now,
not for me.
Do you find it fitting that it was Zack Sabre Jr., a Suzuki-gun member, that spoiled it for Naito in the final night?
No, you know what? I mean, I guess it has that place. I guess that's one aspect. That's one way of looking at it. But for me, I don't take too much stake in that.
Okay.
Night 3, again, it's an A block night. You've got Michael Elgin defeating Hangman Page, Evil defeating Yoshihashi. That's the second loss by Hashi already. Toji Makabe defeating Suzuki. Bad Luck Fale defeats Kazuchika Okada by a pinfall. Obviously, he had help from the Bullet Club OGs. And then Jay White ending the night defeating Hiroshi Tanahashi, like we just said a little while ago. So again, this was another landmark victory for Jay White, defeating Tanahashi in night 3. Night 4, we continue with B Block. Sonata defeats Tama Tonga. Zack Sabre Jr. defeats Toru Yano. Kota Ibushi defeats Juice Robinson. Tetsuya Naito defeats Tomohiro Ishii. And the main event, Kenny Omega defeats Hiroki Goto. And that was the night 4, which is the second night of the B Block. Zack Sabre Jr. was another one I thought would go a lot farther than he did. And he didn't. I'm really interested in where his career's going. Mm-hmm. Because, you and I, well, anybody who watches Zack Sabre Jr. used to a lot of submission-style wrestling.
Yeah.
And he's expanded his repertoire with... the
Michinoku driver?
With the Michinoku driver. Well, he calls it the Zack driver.
Yeah.
Or at least Taka does. But, yeah, I mean, that was a surprise. That was a surprise to see him... show that off, that he's becoming more of or adding more moves to his repertoire. Not necessarily going to a different style, but adding more stuff to his style.
Well, I think that's appropriate because Zack Sabre Jr. is at that point in his career now where even though he didn't go as far as you thought he was going to go, I mean, he still finished with a really good 12 points.
Oh, yeah.
Which is actually tied
for third.
Yeah. Well, actually, all the even Kota Ibushi, who took the pool, finished with 12 points.
Yeah.
So I mean, but with that being said, he's at that point in his career where he's at the glass ceiling and he's ready to shatter it. Certain parts of indie wrestling, he's already done that. You look at a guy as Zack Sabre Jr. and Pro Wrestling Guerrilla and Evolve, for example. He's already done that.
Yeah, he had the Evolve title for like over a year, right?
Yeah, until he lost to Matt Riddle back in April. But as far as his New Japan career, I think it's very obvious that, especially out of the Suzuki-gun right now, he's the guy. He's the next guy to kind of branch out and become this success. And it comes with the addition to his moveset because, being a submission wrestler, as much as you and I love it, it's only going to get you so far in the business.
Very true.
You have to. It's like being an MMA fighter nowadays, whether it's real or not. It's like coming in there and saying I'm really good at Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. Well, that's awesome. But how's everything else? How's your stand-up game?
Because if that's all you got going for you, chances are you're not going to have a very fruitful career.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And that's the same applies for any style of wrestling. If you're just a one-dimensional guy, especially for a guy who doesn't have a whole lot of mic skills, it's not gonna. You have to expand your moveset, and he's doing that. And I think it's very clear what his intentions are, at least. But I think the company's intentions are with him as well, especially for the fact that him and Taka have this amazing partnership right now. It started with the New Japan Cup, and he's essentially a glorified hype man.
He is.
And it's a really great way to start it up because he's being hyped up. He's not doing anything. He doesn't have to do anything. He's just standing there. Taka's doing all the talking, and then he calls out his opponent. Well, Zack Sabre just he just stands there arrogantly, and it's like that's not bad. So yeah, even with Zack Sabre Jr. not winning this thing or making the finals at least, to me I was impressed by his showing, and overall the Zack Sabre Jr. that we're going to see in the future, I mean it's going to be pretty wide open. And he's in the right faction because this is a very faction-based company. To kind of not take over Suzuki per se, but just be the next prestigious guy within that group. And it's if he's in the G1 again next year, I can definitely see him being a front runner to take his block, maybe even the whole tournament.
Night 5 was July 20th. We had Tanahashi defeating Bad Luck Fale via DQ. Again, Bullet Club OGs get involved right away.
Were you okay with that?
We'll save that for later in this conversation.
Okay. All right.
Evil defeated Togi Makabe. Minoru Suzuki defeated Yoshihashi. Man, I was fearful for Yoshihashi's life in this match. Again, Suzuki's he's a fucking mean old bastard. And, you give him an inch, he's going to take a mile. And you have someone like Yoshihashi who can't seem to get his shit together. And dude, I was fearful for his life. Jay White defeated Michael Elgin, and the main event for that night, for Night 5, was Kazuchika Okada defeating the Hangman Adam Page.
Were you surprised that it took 3 matches for Okada to get a win?
Yeah. Again, another story within this tournament. Like, man, he doesn't have it together, and it took him 3 matches to get a win, and he even said it himself that he was a little preoccupied and not necessarily focused, but yeah, definitely an interesting start to the tournament for him. Night 6 is a B block night. Took place July 21st. Naito defeated Juice Robinson.
Yeah, okay.
Ishii defeated Hiroki Goto. Toru Yano defeated Kota Ibushi. I'm going to get to that in a second. And Kenny Omega defeated Tama Tonga via DQ. Again, another Bullet Club OG debacle. And then the main event for that night was actually Sonata versus Zack Sabre Jr., with Zack Sabre Jr. taking the loss. 2 questions for you. 1, how do you feel about Sonata and Zack Sabre Jr.? And then 2, we're going to talk about this whole Toru Yano Kota Ibushi match.
The Sonata Zack Sabre Jr. match, I felt, albeit it was first of all, this is one of those matches that I look forward to one of the most, especially, and that's saying something, especially how stacked Block B was.
Yeah.
I'm not disappointed in the match, but I just felt that they didn't get enough time to do what I was hoping for them to do. It was definitely a shorter match. I think it went about just a little over 10 minutes.
For a main event.
Yeah. It just didn't seem like they got the fair. They kind of got the short end of the stick in that one. Other than that, it was a really good first encounter. At least I don't think that they've went 1-on-1 before.
I don't think so.
I'm sure tag matches, but not 1-on-1. But so, I hope somewhere down the line that somebody in New Japan in the booking committee said, we kind of made a mistake on that one. We got to do this match again at some point. Because this was one of those things, to me, Sonata, although, yeah, it's all about Tetsuya Naito, and rightfully so, with that ongoing chase for the IWGP Heavyweight Championship, I didn't think Sonata was going to run deep in this tournament, per se, but he's like the equivalent of Block A's Hangman Page, in the sense that he probably won't get a whole lot of wins, but I'm really looking forward to see how he performs against these top level guys.
Definitely.
Because I feel that both of those guys are at that point in their life, or in their career, I should say, that they're ready to compete with those top level guys. So, see Sonata come out there and have that match for Sabre Jr. was great. Again, I just wish it was longer.
I couldn't agree with you more. Toru Yano defeating Kota Ibushi. Please tell me you watched this match.
I did.
Toru Yano, the entire run of the tournament, he was just full of shenanigans. And it made for a great story. And I love the way they peppered it in throughout the tournament. Every time he stepped in that ring, there was just some fucking tomfoolery going on.
Yeah.
But this match against Kota Ibushi, I mean, I knew he was up to trying to fight fair, in air quotes here, but this one really took me for a loop. I mean, I thought it was a blast, but I really didn't expect him to win. And the way he won, that was just crazy. But the bigger story here with Toru Yano is, despite all his shenanigans in the ring, he upsets both of the Golden Lovers in this tournament. That's
insane.
Yeah. How does that happen? I mean, both. Let's face it. Both of those victories were highly unlikely.
Right.
And yet they happened. Like, how? I don't understand. How the hell does that work?
Yeah, I was looking at, anytime you got Toru Yano, and again, I said this going into the tournament, that Toru Yano is probably somebody that I wouldn't put in this thing. He could go, there's no doubt about it, but he's at the point in his career where he's like and I do this all the time, but the WWE's version of Mankind with Mr. Sacco kind of thing. Like it's that, you know, like he could take an ass whooping, but he's not really impressing a whole lot of people in that ring anymore.
I'm glad you made that comparison though, because now I have another question for you.
Yeah.
Do you see him and his cheating ways or his shenanigans? Do you see that leading to a title shot against Kenny Omega?
No.
Never? Not at all. Keep in mind.
Not in the New Japan ring. Not by that I mean, like, I could see that being a Ring of Honor thing.
Okay.
Because,
that's fair.
With all due respect to Yoshihashi, I mean, even Yoshihashi main evented a Ring of Honor show.
That's true.
So, we were there. So, yeah, I don't see it. I don't. He's a novelty act at this point, and I mean, that's not to say that I wouldn't mind it, but I just don't know how much room the New Japan has for shenanigan type characters like that. At least ones that are done for comedic purposes. We're not talking like Bullet Club shenanigans.
Okay.
So I don't know. I too was surprised by the victories. Although it happened later, the Omega one, I thought maybe, I don't know, maybe that was like a New Japan like slap on the wrist, like, you know, we're gonna have you, after all the shit that you pulled, you said, I should say, we're gonna have you lose to Toriano. Like,
I never thought of that.
You're gonna have to lay down for him.
At least they made it inventive. I thought that was a really interesting way for Kenny Omega to lose.
Yeah. So that's my thing. I mean, Toriano, I didn't see them give anybody 0 points. At least I didn't predict it. So he's got to be somebody.
Yeah.
It's just it is weird that it's, you know, against both Golden Lovers. I mean, the you know, Tama Tonga was one that I had on the table that he'd probably win. And that's not because he's necessarily better than Tama Tonga, but given the storyline purposes. But yeah, it was definitely interesting, to say the least.
Night 7 happened July 22nd. Tanahashi defeated Page. Okada defeated Makabe. Yoshihashi defeated Michael Elgin, one of our surprise wins we talked about.
Yes.
Minoru Suzuki defeated the Switchblade Jay White. And then the main event that night was Evil defeating Bad Luck Fale via DQ. Again, more Bullet Club OG interference. Minoru Suzuki defeating Jay White. I definitely looked forward to this one, especially at this point in the tournament, because you had Jay White, becoming this ultra heel, and who better to like test the waters against when becoming a heel than Minoru Suzuki?
Minoru Suzuki, the ultimate heel.
Yeah, that was the highlight of the night for me. I think the fans of the show and the listeners of the show know you and I are both followers of the Bullet Club, and
yes.
and we do quite a bit of content on them, with them, things like that. But yes. This whole Bullet Club versus Bullet Club Civil War, I mean, it's playing out as it should, but it really, as a wrestling purist, it bothered me throughout this tournament, because it was like, damn, we're passing up seeing these potentially awesome matches for some bullshit, and you and I are traditionally raised on American wrestling,
mm-hmm.
and you see a lot of that, and it gets old after a while. And
there's a time and place for everything.
Yeah, there's a time and place for everything, and that's where all this fits in. You have, obviously Bad Luck Fale again losing to Evil via DQ, more interference, and it just seemed like there was no stopping them. They were there to make a point. And don't get me wrong, it's cool. I appreciate your disposition when you say, I love to see that old school Bullet Club stuff happen, where they just come in, they kick ass and take names.
Mm-hmm.
And that's fine. I agree. That's what Bullet Club should be doing. But it really put a damper on me for this tournament because I was hoping they could just keep that shit out of the ring a little more, not necessarily fully, but a little more, to where we would have a little more opportunity to see those guys do what they do.
So, let me see and I'm not saying I disagree or anything like that. I'm not asking for that purpose. But you're saying for something like this tournament, do we take out storylines not necessarily altogether, but do we take out storylines for more of the wrestling part? Because that's what this is. It's a storyline.
Yeah.
It's a storyline where Tama Tonga and Balak Fale both said, we don't give a shit about the G1. They don't care about the G1. It's like they didn't care about the Never Openweight 6-man tag team titles, which they won in the final night against the Bucks and Marty Scurll. They threw them right back at the president of New Japan Pro Wrestling and said, "Here, you take it." They don't want it. I see what you're saying though, and it's kind of a catch-22 because I like it, but I also agree. I kind of lean on New Japan for that style of wrestling, and you have to kind of have to understand too with this whole transition to westernizing the product that there's going to be this, and they have to really watch it because you don't want to become westernizing your product doesn't necessarily mean becoming a Western product. And I think that's the fine line that they have to draw for themselves. You don't have to do what we do here in the States. What you guys have done in Japan is what made you guys so fucking intriguing in the first place. Keep doing that. It's okay to
pepper it in here and there.
Yeah,
I agree. And you know what? You and I talked about this before on a previous episode. It's growing pains.
Yeah.
They're trying to globalize their brand and become more Western friendly, and unfortunately this is something new to them, so they only have so much they can do, or so much that they know how to do, especially with their style of booking. So it still is very interesting, but yeah, to me it put a little bit of a damper on such a prestigious tournament.
It got to be a lot. It was just one too many times, I think.
Yeah, I'll definitely say that.
Yeah, I think for me, it was like at some point they got their hand caught in the cookie jar, and it's like, all right, like the first night when they did it to Hangman Page, it was like, all right, the war's on. War's on. Yeah. Let's do this. But then, when you start seeing it with Tama and Kenny, that right there should have been a legit match.
Yeah, again, that was one I was looking forward to, and you're like, shit, it got room.
They dropped the ball. I mean, it got to be too much. I wouldn't have minded if Tangaloa started doing some shit, and then the ref called him and kicked him out. And then give you an extra amount of minutes of just Tama and Kenny.
Sure, yeah.
You did your Bullet Club thing, now let's finish it. And then once the bell rings, Tonga can come back out, Bad Luck can come out, whatever. You can do it then. But as far as what happens during that bell, let's try to keep it legit.
Night 8 happened July 26th. Kenny Omega defeated Juice Robinson. Hiroki Goto defeats Toru Yano. Zack Sabre Jr. defeats Tomohiro Ishii via submission. Tetsuya Naito defeats Tama Tonga. In the main event, Sanada defeats Kota Ibushi. These are all Block B matches. Anything stand out to you? I look forward to Sanada and Ibushi.
Sanada and Ibushi for sure. The Sabre Jr. again. Sabre Jr. versus Ishii. Ishii is that the Stone Pitbull is one of those quiet top picks for me in so many matches, and
definitely a dark horse.
Dark horse, yeah. There you go. There's the word I was looking for, or afraid. What words? Whatever. But Sabre Jr. again to test the waters with somebody of his nature, because when I look at it, as of right now for the foreseeable future, we're not going to see Sabre Jr. versus Minoru Suzuki, and that's a match I want to see.
Yeah.
That's a match I want to see. And for the foreseeable future, unless we're talking one of two things. A tournament like the G1, which they're in separate blocks, so it wasn't going to happen unless they both win their blocks. Or we see some kind of angle where Sabre leaves Suzuki or gets kicked out. Or Suzuki gets kicked out, whatever. And then we see some kind of war that way. While they're on the same team, it's just not going to happen. So Tomohiro Ishii is kind of like that equivalent in the sense that he has that rugged style, the very roughneck style, as we call it here in the States. Strong style, if you what you call it in Japan, and you have that type of style, and a guy that, I've seen that man go at it with Suzuki, a guy that took Suzuki's shots and just took it, stood there, asked for more, and I was like, all right, Sabre Jr. is trying to evolve, no pun intended, into this all-around wrestler. Let's see what he does against Ishii. And that one stood out to me the most of that night, just because I was really intrigued to see what Sabre Jr. had to do, because I don't think that he got the hype that he deserved going into this tournament, even though he won the New Japan Cup earlier this year. And to see him go at it with high-profile guys, whether it's somebody that isn't talked about enough or not, to me, that's one that stood out the most on that night.
I think for me, at least, I agree with you. I think what it is this was kind of like a proving ground for him. This tournament, like he could hang with the heavyweights,
right?
And I don't. That's another thing I'm not too keen on with New Japan, is this culture of promotion to becoming a heavyweight. You have all these, light heavyweights or junior heavyweights, and you're like the Bucks. The Bucks are now heavyweights in New Japan.
Right.
Right now they're toying with the idea of making Marty Scurll a heavyweight in New Japan. You have this situation going on where it's like they're basically putting a cap on your career as a junior heavyweight, and then sooner or later it's like, oh, time to graduate to the heavyweights, whether you want to or not. I really get that impression. I think for Zack Sabre Jr., it's a little bit different because of his style of wrestling. I think it works. I think it works very well. I mean, I don't know how many people are going to buy that he becomes a heavyweight without putting on weight. I mean, because the Bucks obviously bulked up a little bit.
Right.
Same with Marty Scurll. Like, right now they're joking, but if he's truly to become a heavyweight, traditionally he's going to have to put on some muscle.
Yeah. Do
we get to see that or don't we? I don't know. I don't know how that works. So, but I agree with you, man. This was definitely a key match for Zack Sabre Jr. Night number 9 is an A block night, July 27th. Tanahashi defeats Toji Makabe. Minoru Suzuki defeats Michael Elgin. Okada defeats Hashi. Bad Luck Fale defeats Jay White. And Evil defeats Hangman Page in your main event. Again, you see the rise of Hangman Page in this tournament. And although he loses to Evil, he puts on another one hell of a performance. I think you said it best a couple episodes ago, where we were talking about the Bucks and Kenny Omega and Cody possibly being signed away for that supercard, that G1 supercard that's happening in April.
Yeah.
And how it's not going to be the end of the Bullet Club, even if they're still separate. So this would be the Bullet Club Elite. It won't be the end of the Bullet Club Elite because of people like Hangman Page. And this tournament showcased exactly that. This dude is on the rise, and it isn't. You know what? To me, it didn't even come across as like them giving him a push, because he lost most of his matches.
Yeah.
But just the level of performance in that ring, things are finally coming together for him, and it's paying off phenomenally.
To say that Hangman Page at a rise is not enough. He's at a rise at a pace that no company, New Japan, Ring of Honor, anybody is ready for, because he is at that point now to where you have to book him in higher profile matches. He's really taking Booker's hands and forcing him, because you have to book this guy in higher profile matches because he's that damn good now. It doesn't happen that often where you find a guy who's got an it factor, but he needs a lot of work, and then you give him the proper tools, and it's almost like a snap of a finger, and it's like, wow, he figured it out.
Yeah.
You know, there was very little guidance. It was just like, oh, this is where you go. Okay, you know, see if you can catch up with me now, and that's where it's going from here. Like, and this night right here, you had Hangman Page versus Evil. You have two guys that are kind of in the mid card, like you said, if you will, if you want to call it that, the mid card of their respective groups or factions, and they have a platform to showcase what they are capable of, and they put on a fantastic match, absolutely fantastic match. Win or lose, and in this case, Evil picked up the victory. Win or lose, both guys just showcased so much in that one match, and it's crazy. It's crazy because, you know, we talk about LIJ, it's Tetsuya Naito, but I already mentioned Sonata, but you also have his guys usually his tag team partner in Evil, and it's just like, again, you can't cap these guys. They're making it so hard to where it's like, okay, well, this is what we have for you, but it can't be, because, you know, we're putting on these crazy high profile matches. You know, you book us the right way or you lose them. So they're making the job very difficult for the bookers, because it's like, fuck, all these guys are good, you know. And it's the same thing with Ring of Honor and New Japan with Hangman Page. It's like, what do you do with this guy who is excelling at such a fast pace? You can't cap him. So it's going to be really interesting to see what the rest of the year holds for him, for both guys, really. But yeah, like, as far as the future of the Bullet Club and future of Hangman Page in general is, you know, how, you know, it's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when he becomes world champion.
I'm calling him right now.
Okay, let's hear this. Because you're pretty good at this.
I'm calling right now. I know, and we'll get to this later, obviously, but you know, Cody is putting his name in the hat for Juice Robinson's United States Heavyweight Championship.
Yep.
I see Hangman Page taking that title before Cody does.
I think that's the proper title for him.
It is.
You know,
at this point, yeah. I mean, and shit, man. You know, Juice Robinson, this whole tournament, you know, every time he's lost, he's put it out there like, man, I feel bad because the United States title deserves better. You know, you keep talking like that with all these guys around you that are putting on performances way better than you. I understand he's got a broken hand, but
or he had,
you know, but damn, man, there's very little wiggle room for you to fuck up, especially when you have that title. Somebody's gonna come up and take it from you, and I really think that's Hangman Page.
I hope it is.
Night number 10 is a B-Block night, July 28th. Speaking of, Juice Robinson defeats Toru Yano. Tetsuya Naito defeats Hiroki Goto. Kota Ibushi defeats the Stone Pitbull Tomohiro Ishii. Kenny Omega defeats Sonata. And for the main event, Zack Sabre Jr. defeats Tama Tonga via DQ. Another fucking match where the Bullet Club OGs ruined it for me.
That's bad booking, because that shouldn't be your main event. Don't end your show on a DQ.
Man.
That's Raw. Raw does that. SmackDown does that.
And we are watching an old Raw in the background now.
I forget. I think it was August, September. No, it's right at the breakdown, so it's in September of '98.
Okay, so September of '98, we have on in the background. You can watch all these old classic Monday Night Raws. Fuck Jeff Jarrett. Oh my God. On the WWE Network. come to us if you want a subscription. We can get you a discounted one. 20x20crew.com/podcast/WWE Network. That's all one word. As we see the New Age Outlaws get into it with each other in the ring. But back to the B block of night 10.
Jeff Jarrett.
Of the New Japan Pro Wrestling G1 tournament. Yeah, I agree with you. Don't end your card on a DQ.
Yeah, that's bullshit.
That was bullshit.
That's a bullshit way to end.
Yeah, because the same thing could have been accomplished with that match earlier in the night.
Right.
And then you could have had... I would have either taken Ibushi versus Ishii or Omega versus Sonata as the main event.
Sure, I wouldn't. I would even go with Naito versus Goto.
Also a good match,
So,
definitely.
Yeah, you had your options there. You know, again, if you want to play this DQ every single time, yeah, it's you can't do it down the main event. That's a terrible way to send your audience home too.
And at this point, it is to be noted that the New Japan fans in the arenas are complaining that their wrestling is getting too American. So we are the only ones that have an issue with the way they booked this night.
What do they have against American wrestling?
Everything. Night 11 is July 30th, and it's an A block night. Tanahashi defeats Yoshihashi. Bad Luck Fale defeats Toji Makabe. Okada defeats Michael Elgin. Jay White defeats Hangman Page. And for the main event, Minoru Suzuki defeats Evil. Definitely, I was looking forward to Suzuki and Evil.
Yeah, hell yeah.
And that was rightfully the main event, no matter how you cut that card.
Two heavy hitters. You see Dan Severn come out to the ring. I'm jealous of that stash.
He's got his UFC title and the NWA heavyweight title, the legendary 10 pounds of gold. Look at that. I can't wait to see that fucking...
And a great mustache.
And a great mustache.
That same belt is being used today, right?
Yes.
Or, yeah?
Same belt.
That's awesome. I can't wait to see that in person. I think it'll be the first time that I've seen it in person.
Same here.
So,
unlike Michael Cole, I don't give a fuck about him.
Guy. The Jeff Jarrett of announcers, commentators. I would take old senile Jim Ross over like the best version of Michael Cole any day.
Man, you saying that about Michael Cole right now? Like, I didn't think there was a way to like describe him to make him any worse to me, but you just did it. Congratulations. He is up there with English muffins and Oreo cookies now for me. Like, I can't anymore. We are on night 11. It's an A block night. Besides Suzuki and Evil, any other thoughts on the rest of this night? I definitely looked forward to Jay White and Hangman Page, because again, Jay White's going through his ultra heel phase, telling Rocky Romero like, "Hey, I got this. It's my chaos."
Yeah, that one right there, though, the Page versus the Jay White match. Again, you got two guys, as I said earlier, on the brink of essentially superstardom.
Yeah.
So I'm doing it again. I'm comparing it to WWE, but it's like watching, as we have 1998, like watching Rock versus Triple H in that era. Like it's gonna be one of those things.
Yeah, yeah.
They'll meet again. And there's gonna be more on the line this time. Not that a G1 is nothing.
This night, Okada defeats Michael Elgin. He would later go on to say goodbye to his longtime manager in Gato.
That was that night, huh?
No, it was not that night.
Oh, okay.
I'm just saying in general.
In general, right.
Yeah, he goes on to say goodbye to Gato, so they split ways. He's going through a huge transition. Obviously, success does different things to different people, and especially in wrestling. Right off the top of my head, I can't think of anybody who held a title for that long recently.
Yeah, not in recent years. No.
And for him to do it and be under that type of pressure to perform all the damn time, and to perform at that level, it changes a person. And, obviously during this whole tournament, we're seeing a different Okada. Although he's still the Rainmaker, he's coming on with a little bit different attire. He's dyed his hair a different color. He's coming out with balloons.
Yeah. A little weird.
It was a little weird, but he said it himself. He needed to blow off steam and have some fun and get his head back together, and he did that. He did that by the end of the tournament. He obviously was still a heavy hitter in points, and
yeah.
He still ended up having a well-rounded tournament, but there's a lot of transition for this guy left. I don't think he's done transitioning, and this is what I want to ask you about all this. So if he's not done transitioning, where do you personally see him transitioning to?
See, that's what you beat me to. I was going to ask you the same thing. Like, where does this lead to Okada? Because how much of this is gimmick and how much of this is like legit? The guy is just burnt out. If that's the case, then does he take a back seat to everything that's going on within Chaos? And because he's a major draw. He's a major draw no matter where he goes, and whether he's champion or not, he's still going to be a major draw.
Yeah.
So, like, what happens? What happens to him now? How much of his mindset is really just exhausted? Because I didn't really pay attention to that until I asked you the question, like, why the hell is he coming out with balloons? Like, what is it? The hair dye, whatever. You dyed your hair red highlights, cool, fine. But the balloons thing, and when you explained it to me, I was like, is this like some weird gimmick that he's trying to do, or is he like legit just doesn't want to be this serious Rainmaker anymore?
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, I guess maybe you can answer the question because I don't really have an answer.
I think he needed a break. He needed a break, at least mentally, from being the Rainmaker. And again, there's a lot of pressure put on him as a heavyweight champion, especially with that organization. And it isn't just him; they do that to all their champions. So I can only assume what's going on with Kenny Omega at this point. But for me, where he ends up in this transitional period, I think he takes a back seat to someone like Tetsuya Naito. I think Naito steps it up and vies for that heavyweight title. I don't know if he does it at Wrestle Kingdom per se, but I think he's up there. I think he kind of has like a boomerang effect where he's been toying around with it for a long time, and he lost the G1, and how does he bounce back? I think he bounces back with a much more force than Kazuchika Okada. Night 12 is a B block night, and it took place on August 1st. Juice Robinson defeats Sonata to open the show. Kota Ibushi defeats Hiroki Goto. Tama Tonga defeats Tomohiro Ishii. Tetsuya Naito defeats Toru Yano. And your main event, Kenny Omega defeats Zack Sabre Jr. That match was like it wasn't a first time, but it was like a second time between Omega and Zack Sabre Jr. They had fought for some indie promotion. I want to say maybe DDT.
Okay.
Years and years and years.
By the way, it has your own streaming service now.
Oh, get out of here!
Yeah.
Oh, dude.
Yeah.
Shut up and take my money. So yeah, that was the big build up for that match. It was a first for New Japan.
Right. Did they advertise it that way?
They did.
Oh my God!
Yeah.
No way.
I'm telling you.
No way.
It was great. They're like, they're like, oh, it happened before in a different promotion, more than likely DDT, but it's a first here in New Japan.
What's that company that pretends everything is theirs? Nothing ever happens outside. I don't know. Those damn Americans.
They have their own universe.
Yeah.
So, but
we kind of hang out just outside. We can see what's going on. Other things happen in other promotions? No way.
Yeah, no way.
No way. That doesn't happen.
The story here for me, again, it was cool seeing Omega versus Zack. I was really interested in Naito versus Yano, simply because
Styles.
it's two different styles, and you have Toru Yano's shenanigans up against the Tranquilo of Tetsuya Naito, and to me that made for a great clash of styles.
Yeah, I just think with the Naito Yano match, it works, almost perfectly, because Naito's that guy that can turn it on when he has to, and and I don't mean to sound mean or disrespectful to Toru Yano, but also kind of definitely turn it down and be a more character-esque wrestler. He said again, he's that complete package. So that's what I love about him. So yeah, this was definitely a fun match for the tournament. But the match that stood out to me on paper, there was the match between Juice Robinson and Sonata. And I know I'm on the same boat with you with Juice Robinson losing so much and the U.S. title and everything, but again the hand, which kind of got annoying after a while.
It did, and I'm surprised it didn't bother him as much as I thought it was going to bother him. I mean, clearly he had trouble in matches and whatnot, but
right,
yeah, it didn't make his performance any better. You know, he didn't have that opportunity.
I was actually a little surprised that Robinson picked up the victory over Sonata. I thought Sonata was going to take this one.
Yeah.
But overall, it was a good match. I love the way that Sonata works, man. He doesn't look like it, but think of like Zack Sabre Jr. when he takes a body part and he's very scientific and slow. Sonata takes a body part, but he's so goddamn quick about it.
He is.
And it's crazy, like, because he's not. When you think of a quick wrestlers, you think of high flyers and things of that nature. X Division style wrestlers for us here in the States. Sonata is he's like almost quietly fast, if that makes any sense.
Yeah, no, that makes perfect sense. He's very deceivingly fast.
Yeah, and like just out of nowhere, he's picking you ready, or he's getting you ready for the skull end, and it's crazy watching him work, because you don't see many guys in any company that's quite like that. And again, Juice Robinson, it was just a disappointing tournament. I didn't think he was going to go super deep anyways. I mean, he just got done winning the U.S. title.
Yeah.
But again, having that hand being taped up and everything like that, it definitely put a burden on his matches. And okay, sorry, go ahead.
No, it did put a burden on his matches, but also there was at least two matches where he untaped himself.
Yeah. And
used the hand anyway. And it's like, really? Like, I don't know whether he thought, like, hey, I already have nothing to lose because, I'm just about out of the tournament, or I'm out of the tournament. But still, like, you still have a fucking U.S. title to defend.
Yeah.
Like, I understand you're taking part. Like, don't make it any worse on yourself.
Right. Exactly.
And then as far as Sonata goes, you're right, man. He's deceivingly fast, and to watch him work, it was refreshing, because you get to see him as a singles competitor without his stable. And I know most people are gonna be like, "What the fuck do you mean by that?" Well, you get to see him wrestle matches that he wants to wrestle. You get to see him approach a match the way he wants to approach it. And one of the things I found really interesting was the way he ended a few of his matches, because he had the same finishing set of maneuvers where he would put you in the skull end, and then either his opponent would break out, or he would just let go of the hold after so long, instead of letting them tap, and then he'd get up and do a moonsault onto the opponent and pin him. And like, who does that?
Yeah, exactly.
But he could, because he's so quick. He's so quick. He can easily just boom. I got you in a submission hold. Guess what? I'm already on the fucking top rope, and I'm coming down on your ass. 1, 2, 3. Only Sonata. He's one of the few that can actually make that work.
Right. Yeah, he's got that rabid dog type mentality where it's just like, if that's not going to work, he's already 2-3 steps ahead of you.
Yeah.
I mean, it's crazy. You don't see that style of wrestling from many guys in any promotion.
Right.
A very special talent that we have on our hands with Sonata.
Night 13 is August 2nd. It's an A-block night. Tanahashi defeats Evil. Hangman Page defeats Toji Makabe. Michael Elgin defeats Bad Luck Fale, again by disqualification. Kazuchika Okada defeats Minoru Suzuki. And your main event for that night, Jay White defeats Yoshihashi. Again, poor Yoshihashi. You know, it's one thing to be up against Bad Luck Fale and have to, or like, you know, any of the OGs and have to deal with their bullshit.
Yeah.
But now you've got to go up against Jay White, who is on his own brand of bullshit, and at this point in the tournament, he is picking people apart outside of the ring more often than anything, and especially with the back and forth between the guardrail and the apron of the ring, and using that as basically like to take everybody's backs out.
Josh Barnett loves that move.
Yeah, Josh Barnett was legitimately pissed off at him for doing that. So that was not a work. Still a match I want to see.
Yeah?
Yeah, I want to see that. I want to see White versus Barnett. I think unfortunately, I think White could teach him a few things. I think White backs it up.
I was gonna say Barnett doesn't really. I don't think he can hang in that ring. He can barely hang in an octagon. I mean, I don't know how real that is. I'm still going at it with that. It was a work, ladies and gentlemen.
Any other thoughts on night 13 of G1?
There's a couple. First of all, they dropped the ball again with the whole Bullet Club. OG's interference with Michael Elgin and Bad Luck Fale. I mean, this is one of those matches that actually went longer. It went double digits, but again, you know me. I'm not the biggest Bad Luck Fale fan as far as in-ring work. I understand. I appreciate this style of wrestling. I could go without it personally, but him versus Michael Elgin intrigues me.
That was one. It's like, okay, big man versus big man.
Yeah,
you know, and it wasn't just that. Like, Elgin is in pretty phenomenal shape.
Oh yeah,
minus the little injury to his arm, his bicep,
right?
Which turned out not to be a torn bicep, so he's all good now. And then you have Bad Luck Fale coming in, you know, lost all that weight and looking really good. And you're like, damn, they've got really good chances at making a dent in this tournament. And then you've got to go through some fucking DQ bullshit.
Yeah, again, it took away from powerhouse style of wrestling that you were going to see, and it took away from it, and it kind of robbed the fans. Another thing too, Hiroshi Tanahashi versus Evil. I was looking forward to that. Evil, I was pulling for so hard, even though I didn't think he was going to take any win this block. But him versus Tanahashi, at that point, it was 10-8 as far as points go, respectively, for Tanahashi and Evil. And it's like, man, if Evil can win this one, it'd be really interesting. And then they're really going to push him to that next level. But anyways, this is one of those matches that I was really looking forward to, and see Evil in the ring one-on-one with the caliber of the ace, of Tanahashi. And he delivered. I mean, even though Evil took the loss, I mean, those two, it was cool to see him go toe-to-toe with somebody at the level of Tanahashi, who just doesn't seem to ever fade away. No matter how old he gets, he's still like in the longest prime of anyone's career. And then the other one too, the Okada versus Suzuki match, and this was a rematch from just a month prior, when Suzuki had his anniversary match. You know, I don't remember where it was at, but I know it was outdoors and it was raining and all that shit, and it ended in a draw. So this was a rematch to that, and again, Okada versus Suzuki, two guys who are at the top of their game, And it was cool to see the streak continue for Okada, who lost his first 2 matches, go up against a guy who was having a good tournament himself, his own right, and put on that kind of a match. Those guys almost went damn near 20 minutes too, and I mean it was a hell of a match.
Yeah, it was. You know, and you got to remember too, before this tournament happened, we got to see Evil like start to flourish a little bit.
Yeah.
You know, he was busting out new moves, and like kind of cementing what Sonata has started during this tournament. Is like his own persona as a singles wrestler.
Yeah.
So that was really awesome, and it did lead you to believe that Evil was probably going to go a little deeper than originally anticipated.
Right. Exactly.
Night 14 is a B block night. Happened on Saturday, August 4th. Starting off the night, Zack Sabre Jr. defeats Juice Robinson via submission. Hiroki Goto defeats Tama Tonga via DQ. Ishii defeats Kenny Omega via pinfall. Sonata defeats Toru Yano via countout. And then Kota Ibushi defeats Tetsuya Naito in your main event. Hell of a night for Block B.
Oh my goodness, you're lying.
I'm just gonna go down the line here. So Zack Sabre Jr. and Juice Robinson, yeah, Juice taps, but I love the way these two were jawing with each other.
Oh yeah,
and it, you know, obviously Zack Sabre isn't his own mouthpiece right now. That's Taka Michinoku's job, but to hear those kinds of words come out of Zack Sabre's mouth, he is an angry man. and just hearing the way he talks, it's like, yeah, no wonder you were in Suzuki-gun. Because let's face it, out of the group that's there, he usually comes across as the deceitful one. You know, you don't like he's aligned himself with heels, but you've got to be.
Suzuki-gun is not just a heel group,
right?
Heel faction,
you know.
So
it made it all that much more interesting. You're like, oh, okay, I get it now. This is exactly why he is with these guys. Again, maybe most people weren't looking forward to this match. I was looking forward to Goto versus Tonga, something I don't remember seeing before, and to me it was going to be interesting, just the clash of styles between the two.
But again,
we got robbed.
The disqualification.
Fucking disqualification.
Who's booking this shit? Come on, like, mix it up.
I'm gonna skip the Omega match for a second, and then so Sonata defeats Yano via countout. If I'm not mistaken, it happened with the Paradise Lock, right? I believe so.
Sonata beating Yano?
Yeah. I believe he beat him with the Paradise Lock, or
It was a countout.
Yeah, but didn't he...
Oh, that's right. Yeah, you're right.
I thought that was a pretty interesting usage of Yanu's shenanigans backfiring on him, you know, that sort of a thing. Again, I still kind of feel robbed, though. Like, I really would have liked him to go toe-to-toe without the bullshit, you know. But maybe we'll see that down the line.
At some point, maybe.
Yeah, at some point. Going back to Ishii and Kenny Omega, this is one... I don't remember the last time they met, unfortunately. Everybody that was commenting on it, not only during the match, but on social media as well, everybody was pretty excited for this match. And, you know, just like you were talking about earlier, Ishii is definitely a dark horse. And then you have the, you know, overwhelming popularity of Omega. I took those two factors and just I took those as face value. I'm like, I'm excited for this match, and it turned out to be something way more than I expected.
Oh yeah, this match was definitely a highlight of the whole tournament. You know, the only disappointment about this match, and it has nothing to do with the participants, it's the reaction that I heard, and it was like, really, Ishii's the guy that knocks off Omega. Yeah. I heard a lot of that, and it's like, man, have you not been watching Ishii go?
Yeah, I didn't get that.
Yeah,
I really
there was
didn't.
a ton of that.
Yeah, I really didn't.
Yeah, I get Omega is the IWGP Heavyweight Champion. He's the best bout machine. He's one of the best in the world. But it doesn't mean that you sleep on Ishii. Like,
right.
You know? And I know a lot of it, you know, him teaming with Yano for almost over a year now doesn't help. And again, I don't mean to pick on Toru Yano. I really don't. But he's a goofball. And that's just what it is. He's a goofball. You know, Tomohiro Ishii isn't that. But then again, watch his matches with Minoru Suzuki. Watch his matches. I'm just talking about recent ones here.
Yeah.
You know, the matches we had with Michael Elgin.
Yeah.
You know,
yeah.
I mean, this is a guy that got headbutt without warning by Suzuki, took it, and then just say, you know what, give me another one. I mean, this guy's no nonsense. This guy is no nonsense at all. And not only is he tough, but he's a solid wrestler.
Yeah.
Really good technical wrestling, too, on top of strong style. I just don't know why it was such a surprise that he knocked off Kenny Omega.
I wasn't surprised that he knocked him off. I was just surprised that they let them do as much as they did. And for me, that I was like, oh, holy shit. Like, again, you're absolutely right. One of the matches that defines this tournament, for sure. And then you have the main event that night, Ibushi versus Naito. Another one I was looking forward to, obviously.
Yeah.
And, man, I was rooting for Naito. And,
yeah, again, I was rooting for Naito.
Yeah, and it didn't happen that way. Again, a lot of people kind of shocked and disheartened that he didn't do as well as they wanted him to in this tournament.
I mean, at this point in the tournament, he's got 10 points, and he's definitely a force to be reckoned with. But as far as that goes, that's why I asked the question: Is it the chase going on a little too long? Naito's been chasing this damn title for a very, very long time now. Is it too long?
You know what though? Let's look at his persona. So he stops caring, and he stops giving a fuck. Right?
Mm-hmm.
What happens? He wins the Intercontinental title.
Yeah.
And I really do think it's going to get to that point where he's just going to not give two shits about the IWGP Heavyweight title, and then guess what? He's going to get it. I think he's on that. I think he's on the beginning of that. Again, like I said, I don't know if he's going to take it at Wrestle Kingdom.
Yeah.
But I think he bounces back from this tournament, and he goes at it stronger than ever.
What if he wins that title and then he treats it the same way he treats the IC title?
Well, I would assume he would.
Yeah.
And let's face it.
You think they'd be okay with that one? Because let's face facts, the Intercontinental title was a big deal, but it's also a newer title in comparison to the heavyweight title. I mean, you got something that dates back to the 70s here.
You know what, though? I don't think it's about whether the title is new or old or what have you. They just, that title needed revitalization, and they got that in the form of Shinsuke Nakamura.
Yes.
But Naito's anti-hero attitude was so over that it didn't matter. It didn't affect the belt negatively. As a matter of fact, it still kept its prestige, even though he was, battering and bruising it on the fucking daily, even breaking pieces off of it. It didn't mean it was any less prestigious. And for him to do that with the heavyweight title, will they let him get away with it? If it works like the Intercontinental title situation, yeah, oh yeah.
But probably not slamming it against the post.
I don't know.
Cracking the title? You think so?
I don't know. Because then you've got like a whole nother crop of combatants that want to take it away from him even more. If the chase becomes even more of a hunt.
Fair point. I guess it comes down to how heelish do you allow yourself as a company to go, because at some point, the company's got to take responsibility to that too.
No pun intended. What's one of the golden rules of wrestling, man? The bigger the baby face, the bigger the heel.
That's true.
So
that's very true.
It works out that way, folks. It just does.
That's a good point.
We are in what is that? 15?
Yeah, we're coming to the last 2 matches for each.
Night 15 is an A block night. Happened August 5th. You have Tanahashi defeating Michael Elgin, Jay White defeating Toji Makabe, Kazuchika Okada defeating Evil, Yoshihashi defeating Bad Luck Fale versus via DQ. Excuse me. Hangman Page defeating Minoru Suzuki in your main event. Again, another landmark win.
That's huge
for Hangman Page.
That's pretty much his G1 championship right there.
I remember watching this match and I'm thinking there's no as well as he's doing the level of performance he's putting on, there's no fucking way he's getting over Suzuki. And then it happened.
Yeah.
And I about shit my pants.
You know what I loved about this match is that this was one of those things where you got to see obviously everything from Suzuki, but with Hangman Page you got to see this different multiple style of fight, because you're gonna have the outside fighting, and which we saw that. I mean, he gets stomped on with the barricade on top of him by Suzuki. So you have that. You have the fist fighting style that Hangman Page brings to the table, but then you also throw in technical wrestling. You bring in a little bit of high flying. You got in this match to see everything that Hangman Page is about, and it's appropriate that he wins the match, because at this point you have 2 guys who are both out of it at this point as far as the points go. You have nothing to. It was the right time to book this match, because both guys are out of the tournament. Therefore, nobody has anything to gain nor lose, essentially, besides the match. It was a perfect exhibition, if you will, for Hangman Page, and it was appropriate that he won the match. And it was good. It was a really good match, for him. And even though that was his last victory of this tournament, it was one that you can walk away with, and going into the Destruction Tour or Power Struggle or whatever, even up to Wrestle Kingdom, where it's like, man, the sky's the limit for Hangman Page.
Absolutely. Night 16 is a B block night. Happened Wednesday, August 8th. You have Ishii defeating Juice Robinson, Zack Sabre Jr. defeating Hiroki Goto, Toru Yano defeating Kenny Omega. We'll get to that in a second. Tama Tonga defeating Kota Ibushi via pinfall, and then Tetsuya Naito defeating Sonata for your main event. Stablemate versus stablemate. It's a shame. For me, Ishii versus Juice Robinson, again, for me, there was a lot of potential there. And, part of it was Juice in his hand, and then the other part was he had been underperforming already. And I think part of it was just, let's face it just wasn't his hand. It was Juice being Juice.
It was definitely a step in the wrong direction for Juice Robinson, because prior to the tournament, he had so much momentum.
He did.
On. And I know it culminated with him winning the U.S. Heavyweight title at the G1 Special in San Francisco. And whether he was going to, even if he wins the 6 match, get 6 points, 3 matches.
Okay.
Again, we talk about Hangman Page. He only has 6 points. It's the performance. And the performance was very lackluster. And it showed throughout the entire tournament for him.
But before this tournament, he was one of those guys, like, leading up to the tournament, he had everything going for him. You had other guys in other companies calling him out, like, man, this guy has the best promo in wrestling right now.
Yeah.
And
that was Kevin Owens who said that.
Yeah, Kevin Owens.
Mm-hmm.
So you have stuff like that going on for Juice, and not only that, he's racking up wins.
Right.
He wins a title, and then he gets to the tournament, and it's like, dude, what the fuck happened?
Yeah, it doesn't do your title a lot, like he says.
Yeah.
He didn't do his title any favors by doing that. And again, it has nothing to do with the wins and losses. I mean, it does, but more or less, more so, it doesn't. But again, you look at the lineup that you're in. Tomohiro Ishii in this night, but Minoru Suzuki, Kazuchika Okada, Hiroshi Tanahashi. These are some big time players here, and you come out in a very meh performance. Because it wasn't terrible, it wasn't the worst.
Right.
But it was just like you didn't really impress me.
Exactly.
And you had those types of guys. It's like, dude, step your game up.
Step it up,
man.
Toru Yano versus Kenny Omega. No one saw this coming. I sure as hell didn't see it coming. I do like your theory about this is the company's payback for what Omega said about the Japanese roster.
I'm not a fan if that's the case, but yeah. I can see it.
I mean, it was, like I said, it was cool the way they set the match up and how it went down.
He wins by pin, too.
Yeah, he won by a pin. And it's like, okay, sure. This happened, and, let's move on. But, yeah, it was just completely unexpected. The whole match, I'm like, there's no fucking way, even with all the bullshit going on, that Kenny Omega's going to lose. And then he loses. And I'm like, what the fuck? And all I could do was sit there and laugh.
Yeah.
You have Tama Tonga defeating Kota Ibushi via pinfall. Again, another match where it didn't get its just due. I wish they had more time. I wish they did more with the match. But more importantly here, the main event for the night, stablemate versus stablemate, Tetsuya Naito and Sanada of Los Ingobernables de Japón. And this one was again also interesting because of the way it was built up.
Yes.
You had the shunning of Naito and his little fist bump. Mm-hmm. Sanada refused to do it to him, and that's kind of what started it all. And there was a little healthy competition between the two. But you know what, man? I don't know how you perceive this match, but to me, it was underwhelming, man. I expected so much more from this match, and I didn't get it.
You know, I can see that. To me, it was one of those things where I don't know if they put the spot where, I don't know, maybe this doesn't make any sense. Maybe this is me just spitballing here, but it's almost like neither guy was willing to go the extra mile to get themselves over.
Yeah,
like it was all about they're willing to get the other guy over, but it's like nobody really took the extra mile to get themselves over, because you have this, especially Sanada.
Yes.
Sanada has the golden opportunity to go up against the leader of LIJ, Tetsuya Naito, and obviously he's going to lose this match. He knows that going into it, but you have the opportunity to step your game up, and not to say that I need to outshine Naito, but I need to prove that I belong in the same sentence as Tetsuya Naito.
And that's two completely different things.
Right.
Yeah. And
it just didn't show it that way. And it's almost like Naito didn't do the best he could to outshine his essentially protege in a sense. So yeah, I agree. I dug the match. I mean, this is definitely one of those things that the wife knew for a fact that this was a match I was looking forward to, because she saw it when Naito got shunned from the fist bump, and she's like, "Oh man, your boys are going to have to go at it." And I'm explaining to her this is what the G1 does. This happens every year. Any kind of tournament where you have like this, you're going to have stablemates go at it.
Sure.
And that's part of it. But yeah, this was going to be a really interesting thing, because Sanada, he has that lone wolf style persona to begin with,
mm-hmm.
and now it's just now he's in this tournament, and I thought things were going to get a little more extreme. Not saying it's going to be a hardcore match, or like a Jay White situation, but I thought things were going to get a little more intense.
Yeah,
and it didn't quite do that. Overall, I liked the match, didn't hate it, but it could have been more, and it left you wanting more. But because they just didn't fully deliver the package.
Yeah.
And that's, again, it was a good match. I'll give it that. But man, it could have been a lot better.
Could have been a lot better.
Yeah.
Night 17 is an A block night that happened on Friday, August 10th. Tanahashi goes to a time limit draw with Kazuchika Okada to begin the show.
Which, for those who don't know, that's 30 minutes.
Yes, 30 minutes.
30-minute draw.
So that's how the show opens. You have Toji Makabe defeating Michael Elgin. You have Evil defeating Jay White. You have Yoshihashi defeating Hangman Page. And Minoru Suzuki defeating Bad Luck Fale via DQ. You know what? I got that wrong. I believe Tanahashi and Okada were the main event.
They're the main event. Yeah.
I read the card backwards. Suzuki and Fale, again, man, such a missed opportunity. Yeah, it's cool. Fine, have the OGs come and start some shit, but let these two just beat the piss out of each other. Well, I was looking for something along the lines of Suzuki and Yano in that bull rope match.
Yeah.
I was looking for a fight like that, and I didn't get that, man.
You know what? There's no point anymore. There's no point anymore because both guys are out of the tournament. They're not going to win. You know, at going in, Fale had 6 points. Suzuki had 8 points. Nobody's going to win this fucking tournament. So just let them do it. There's no storyline purpose for the OGs to come out and do that.
I sort of agree with you because you're right. There's no, they're both mathematically out of the tournament. Just let them go. Let them go ham on each other, right? But there is kind of a storyline that they could still do. You still let the OGs come out because the OGs, look, we don't give a shit. We're defying the authority of the organization and the whole nine. And the story there is Minoru Suzuki's not going to fucking take their shit and let him deal with all of them. In the process, Suzuki could not only get himself over, but get them over as well. And again, just another missed opportunity here for this match. At least for me.
I just got to point out, I don't mean to change subjects, but we're watching the Raw from 98, and we have a real man's man.
A man's man.
Steven Regal.
I love how he's supposed to be a man's man, but his fucking Timberland boots are like brand spanking new.
Yeah. They could give us somebody's dirty boots or something. And there's John Tenta, as I found out a few weeks ago by you.
That's right.
As Golga.
With the fucking Cartman shirt on.
He should have done like the earthquake bounce that he used to do. Where he's like kind of like almost semi-bouncing around. Man, you talk about a career just going downhill.
Dude, that mask he's got on looks like they had just taken it from a piece of leather furniture. They're like, we just got this left over here, sewed up over here.
It's almost as bad as the Shockmaster.
Oh, good lord.
If you don't know what we're talking about, do yourself a favor and look that up.
Look up the Shockmaster on YouTube. You won't be disappointed, folks.
It's shocking. Terrible jokes aside.
Oh, God.
Moving on.
Yoshihashi defeats Hangman Page. After this fucking awesome performance, how does this happen?
Yeah, I don't know. This is almost like we want everyone to be equal, so like everyone kind of had out six or more points. So this is his way of getting 6 points. Hangman Page should have beaten Yoshihashi.
He should have. Should have.
And again, we're talking wins and losses don't necessarily matter here at this point, or in professional wrestling altogether in certain aspects. So it doesn't really matter, but it kind of does because this is one of those guys. I mean, the guys that he knocked off already, with all due respect to Yoshihashi, it should have been Hangman Page.
Hangman Page is coming off a win against Minoru Suzuki.
Yeah. And
how do you not?
It's inconsistent.
Yeah, it's
inconsistent, and it's not right. But
I love Evil defeating Jay White here. That was awesome.
Well, yeah, and it's fitting too because that sets up the main event, and it comes down to whoever wins the main event.
Mm-hmm.
And but before we do that, I also wanted to point out, because we didn't really talk about him really at all, but the Makabe and Elgin match, I was really looking forward to that one. Wasn't the best match between the two, but of course Makabe is also an aging wrestler at this point.
Yes.
But that was one of those matches on as far as the A block that I was looking forward to seeing, because again, two heavy hitters.
Hell yeah.
So, Makabe pretty much performed in the way that I figured he was going to, on the bottom tier at this point in his career. But seeing him versus Elgin, because mainly they're stablemates as part of Taguchi Japan, although I think they're both not full-time members of that group. But
no, neither one of them.
But they usually are on the same side and not opponents. So I was looking forward to that match. But going to the main event, Hiroshi Tanahashi versus Kazuchika Okada, a match that we have seen multiple times, especially at Wrestle Kingdoms.
Yep.
What's your take on this one? A rivalry renewed, a rivalry respect renewed.
I think it was important for Okada to at least draw with Tanahashi to keep his momentum going, as opposed to killing it. What I didn't get about it was what does this do for Tanahashi going forward in the tournament? Obviously he wins the tournament, but what does this draw do for him other than points?
Yeah.
So it was really awesome to see Okada keep that leveling up throughout the tournament. But them drawing, I don't know. I think, don't get me wrong, I'm very respectful and appreciative of the performance, obviously. But to me, if it was all about points, then fine. But this easily could have been Tanahashi beating Okada, or Okada beating Tanahashi.
Well, if Okada beats Tanahashi, then Tanahashi's not winning the G1.
Right.
So it has to come down to either a draw or a win for Tanahashi in this case. I didn't mind the draw. I definitely see what you're saying, but I didn't mind the draw at all. Yeah, I guess I really don't have an opinion on that, because it doesn't really bother me at all. I'm glad that Okada, even though I did pick him to win the Block A, I'm glad he didn't win it, because given everything that's going on, I think it's fitting again he takes a step back. What I was kind of hoping was going to happen, again, not pre-tournament, because I didn't know this was going to happen, but when everything's going on, I thought it was fitting that it would come down to the wire between Tanahashi and Jay White. If that's the case, I mean,
yeah,
it just seems more fitting, instead of Jay White being knocked off by Evil in the final match. I think it would have been fitting to have Jay White win that match, be put at 14 points, and then it come down to Tanahashi and Okada, and almost like what you saw in the Super Juniors tournament, with Will Ospreay coming out during was it Ishimori's match, and just watching it. He didn't do anything in the match. He didn't interfere or anything, but just watch that match, and you got that kind of intensity of who's going to win this tournament. Yeah, when it comes down at this point, I think it would have. And again, I should ask this question, not say it, because it's your opinion. But so I guess I'll rephrase it before I even say it. Let me ask you this: if this goes to that case, and let's say Jay White's out there anticipating watching this match, are you okay, as long as the build-up's there, with a draw then, or is it still doesn't do a whole lot for you?
I think I know I would be okay with it, because it makes sense.
Yeah,
he's distracting.
Right.
The entire tournament, he's distracting.
Right.
So of course. I think you'd have to change the ending of the match a little bit.
Yeah.
But it makes sense that they go the draw.
Yeah.
They're both distracted enough to where they're not paying attention at the time, And okay, now it's because of Jay White that they go to a draw.
Yeah.
To me, that makes much more sense.
Right. And then Tanahashi still takes the block.
Yes.
Yeah, I thought they kind of, as much as I love Evil and what he's doing right now, I think they kind of dropped the ball at that one. I think Jay White should have won that match. And then it comes down to the wire between Tanahashi and Okada. But again, Okada would, that would mean Okada would be out, because Okada would be at 12 points to Jay White's 14 points. Even with a tie, Jay White would win the tiebreaker through the heads up.
Okay.
So I don't know. Maybe they already thought of that and they didn't want to do it that way. But yeah, in this case, if it comes down to the wire like this, somebody should win.
Yeah,
I agree. It doesn't bother me too much, but somebody should win. I as I'm talking, rambling on it, like it's like, yeah, I see what he's saying now. I get it. Yeah, I agree.
Night 18 happened Saturday, August 11th, in the legendary Budokan venue.
It's a big deal that they were there, because it's been over about 15 years.
Yeah, very big deal. This was the last B block night, and you have Juice Robinson defeating Hiroki Goto, Ishii defeating Sonata, Toru Yano defeating Tama Tonga via DQ, Kota Ibushi defeating Kenny Omega, and Zack Sabre Jr. defeating Tetsuya Naito. Hell of a way to end B block. And obviously the match of the night, the one that had the most attention on it, was the battle between the Golden Lovers.
Yeah.
In Kenny Omega and Kota Ibushi. And this entire tournament, there was that little breadcrumb left for everybody, saying, hey, if we ever have to fight each other again, one of us is going to have to kill the other, because the match just gets that intense. And they laid it out for everybody, like, it isn't that we hate each other, it's just that we feel the need to keep outperforming and outdoing one another. So you get all that, and you have that momentum going for you the entire tournament, and the story's still there, and then the match happens. For you, I'm asking you personally, did the match live up to the hype?
I think it did. I also, my hype personally was a little lower because of the injury. I didn't know how hard Kenny Omega could go. Mm-hmm. I know the passion that he has for the business. I'm not questioning that, but honestly, from the get go, those two went at it pretty quick.
They did,
and I don't think it's they obviously they slow the pace, but not in the sense that most people would. There's obviously a ton of chemistry there. Maybe we share difference of opinions here, because quite honestly, I never saw their other matches. So this was my first time seeing these two go at it.
I saw their first match. I'm gonna agree with you. It definitely lived up to the hype for me, but I'm torn because they easily could have done so much more, and that's what kind of frustrates me about this. And I get it. Omega's hurt. He's dealing with a fractured heel. Mm-hmm. But he, for the rest of the tournament, he didn't let it get in the way. Like, why would he stop all of a sudden?
Yeah, you're right.
You're
right.
And so that's what kind of bothers me. But I really dug the match. That spot where Ibushi hits Omega with the double knees.
Yeah.
Was oh my god. There's a match that happened years and years ago. I want to say it was Manny Fernandez and the Destroyer, one of the Destroyers.
Okay. Where
I don't know if the footage is on YouTube or not these days, but so what happens is it's definitely a bit of kayfabe here. So Manny Fernandez comes off of the ropes, off of the out of the corner, and hits the Destroyer with a knee to the chest. And what he did was he broke his sternum. But the fans didn't know that. So when he hits him with the knee into the chest, he immediately spews blood. It sprays out like you're watching a fucking horror film.
Yeah.
And for a while there, you know, because of the times, everybody was like, oh my God. Like, everybody believed it.
Yeah.
And then over the years, it became one of those situations like, oh, that was just fake. It was part of the show. Well, it wasn't. He actually broke his sternum. So that was real blood coming out of his mouth. The moment that happened in the match, I was waiting for Omega to be hurting and spewing up blood. That was the first thing I thought of, man. But yeah, I really like the match. I want to see them. I want to see them do this again, and not anytime soon,
right? Well, see, that's the thing. I mean, you have to remember, this is, and again, I'm not talking down the G1, but this is a G1 match, so you have a shorter time limit in the sense, you know, and these two guys. This is what I was talking about when we first made our predictions. Like, this is a match that I could see happening on January 4th. And before we get to the finals, I mean, spoiling it here, even though Kota Ibushi didn't win the tournament, and it may or may not happen, but this is the type of match that I felt was, and I still do feel like this would be probably the best match to book right now for Kenny Omega as champion going into Wrestle Kingdom. I mean, given everything happening with these two reuniting, what would be the only thing to divide them? And that's a championship.
It's a championship.
And I don't know. To me, I maybe that's the American fan of me, because that's a very Americanized thing to do.
Be Andre and Hogan all over again.
Yeah. You know, what would be the only thing to break up the Golden Lovers is one guy being on top of the other. Not in that sense. As I was saying, I was like, I don't know how to rephrase this.
Ladies and gentlemen, the look on his face as he was saying that is fucking priceless.
Like, I knew I was fucked as soon as I started saying it. I'm like, damn.
I don't think I've ever seen your eyes go that wide.
But yeah, I think it did deliver. But you know, again, it's the injury. It's Kenny Omega. It's getting it to Kenny Omega. I don't know. Maybe he agitated it the day before. You know, who knows? Who knows? But yeah, to me, this is one of those types of matches that is very easily could be a match in a higher platform.
Limitless.
Match. Yeah. So I think we're going to see that match again.
I hope so. I just hope not too soon.
Right. It became a winner-take-all match because of the match before that.
Yes.
Where Zack Sabre Jr. broke a bunch of hearts, pinning Tetsuya Naito via the Zack Driver. What are your thoughts on that? Because, man, as much as I love Zack Sabre Jr., I was just like, motherfucker.
Yeah, I had the same exact feeling about the match. First of all, okay, so he wins, right?
Yeah.
As much as I love seeing Zack Sabre Jr., or any wrestler for that matter, of his caliber, trying to broaden his horizons, so to speak, and grow and do different things, don't take a match like this and win with a fucking move that you, like, barely know how to do.
Yeah.
It's like, come on, really? Like, just be classic Zack and submit his ass.
Yeah.
That was my problem with the match. And yeah, it was heartbreaking. It was definitely heartbreaking.
Yeah, to say the least, man. It was just like, man, when is Naito going to have his turn? You know? And then, again, I asked the question, is the chase going on too long? I don't know. It's going to be sweet when he finally wins it. It's going to be,
that'll be for damn sure.
You know, was there any other matches that stood out to you? I mean, again, we got more disqualification bullshit with Tama Tonga. and none of the other matches mattered as far as points go. But Ishii versus Sonata was a good match.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
I mean, I was happy to see that. I was pulling for Sonata in that match, but Ishii is a legit wrestler. And again, the guy who knocked out Kenny Omega finished with 10 points, so they must think something of him.
I'm going to go a little off topic here, and we're going to talk about all these disqualifications with the Bullet Club OGs and just their overall, defying authority here. What is your overall opinion on this? And what I want to ask is, especially with Tama Tonga, out of the three of them, seems to be the most vocal.
Yeah.
And at least during the tournament, the most defying of authority. Where do they go from here? So, because you have them wanting to do classic OG Bullet Club stuff, but at the same time, you have a new company owner telling them, like, not only will I suspend you, but you'll be fined.
Right.
And according to him, he doesn't want to be on camera. He doesn't want to participate or anything like that. And he apologized to the fans for having to do so during the tournament. Mm-hmm. What becomes of all this? What becomes of the Bullet Club OGs? Do we see something like, is it one of those things where you just have a bunch of guys like looking to get fired so they can go elsewhere? Is that an option at this point? Is it all storyline and someone's gonna come back and hand them their ass sooner or later? What kind of sense can you make of this?
So I don't know how much I'll be able to, but I asked the same question where the new president comes out and he says that I'm only on camera because I have to be, and I don't want to be. And when you told me that, it's like that doesn't make any sense. You don't want to be, then don't be. I understand these guys are running amok, but aren't your guys writing this shit in? So what it reminded me of, if it's not all scripted and it's not all written, those pre-planned, then it's a very dangerous road that you're traveling on, because it reminds me of the situation of ECW back in the day, where essentially what they would pretty much say is that the inmates ran the asylum.
And guys going into business for themselves.
Yeah, and you get things such as, one of the more infamous ones is the crucifixion of the Sandman. Yes, you heard me correctly.
Oh, yeah.
The Sandman was crucified by a cross, which he made himself, by the way.
Yeah.
Because apparently he was a carpenter, a very bad one, but a carpenter nonetheless. But yeah, he was crucified, thorns and everything, fucked up. But and then Kurt Angle was on that show, and they were going to sign him. Kurt Angle, right off of the 1996 Olympics, he was going to dive into professional wrestling.
Hot property, man.
He was looking to do business with ECW. And he was at that show, and he's, being a God-fearing man, left.
Yeah.
And said, I don't want any part of this garbage. According to Kurt Angle, says, I don't even want my name to be on anything to do with you guys. And Paul Heyman apologized up and down and insisted he knew nothing about it. But like Kurt Angle says, like, if you don't know what's going on in your own company, you're an idiot. So I use that example because that's what I'm saying here. Obviously you don't control Twitter, and obviously your guys are allowed to do a lot more on their Twitter accounts than WWE guys are, supposedly. That's when you got the Tama Tonga bashing guys, in the United States military, as we talked about on the show.
That was horrible.
Just some things that you really shouldn't be doing, especially when you're representing a business. Especially representing a business that's trying to move its product here in the United States, at least as far as getting the fan base. And But as far as what's going inside that ring, I'm still assuming that the powers that be, that is the New Japan Pro Wrestling writers and the staff, the management, they're still knowing what's going to happen. They're still writing, hey, this is how we're going to do this match. So I don't believe the president in what he says, at least as far as my background in professional wrestling. And again, I'm not the be-all, end-all by any means, but my background in professional wrestling says that was kayfabe, what he said. And he's on TV as an authority figure on purpose. And that's where I stand with that, because I don't, nothing else makes sense. You really don't know what's going on. You're really fearful what these guys are going to do. I don't see them looking to leave the company, because quite frankly, if that was the case, then Tama Tonga would watch his mouth a lot more, because you're not really welcome in a lot of other companies. If you and I know there's other heels out there, and you know, we talk about Sami Callihan a lot, but even Sami Callihan hasn't gone as far as Tama Tonga has gone, as far as some of the shit that he said.
That's very true.
As far as his actions in the ring, that's totally different. But again, that's still on his side of the fence.
Right.
Compared to, again, telling somebody in the military that he should be the one that's dead. You know, it's like, you know, it's just, it's fucked up, to say the least. And I'm not saying that nobody's going to take him because of that, but you're making it harder for yourself by doing that and say, you know, look, you got too much heat, the wrong kind of heat.
Yeah, the wrong kind of heat.
And it's like, I don't want any part of that. I just don't. I don't need, you know, fucking people coming up, knocking on my door, and you hired this guy, and he said this to this guy. Like, this is too much. This is too much. I don't, you know, me, if I was a booker, it's just like, even if I was a small time independent booker, it's like, can you afford to have that kind of heat? So I don't see them looking to go anywhere else, at least not now. Okay. I see them prolonging this this whole thing with the Bullet Club for a while, and you know, why would you leave? You have the Bullet Club name again, and it's still a hot commodity. And what they did at the G1 special in San Francisco, what that did was say, look, there's more to the Bullet Club, in case you forgot, than Kenny Omega and the Young Bucks. And certainly Marty Scurll, who I feel Tama Tonga's 10 times better than, personally.
Yeah.
You know, and, you know, Cody and this and that. And it's like, there's a lot more to the Bullet Club than there's those guys. You know, you got Taiji Ishimori on their side now, as we saw in Night 19. You know, legit fucking performers. And they have, again, the Bullet Club name. You leave New Japan, you leave the Bullet Club behind. Unless you work for, like, you know, go to Ring of Honor or something like that. So I don't see that being a thing either. So I guess this whole long tangent is me saying that everything that, I don't know the president's name right now, or the CEO, whatever he's called, his name, but that he is speaking out of character, and I don't buy it as being a legit angle, personally.
The only other thing I would add to this is I can't wait till World Tag League to see the Gorillas of Destiny just kick a lot of ass.
Think they run the table? I mean, I know we got some time, and that's a winter thing.
It is a winter thing, but I don't know if they run the table, but they're looking damn good, man. They got their shit together. That's for damn sure.
Yeah. Well, let's hope, because let's hope that they're not more bullshit like DQ that is all the time. You know? Let's see some legit fucking work here. Legit finishes.
Well, you know what? You know what? You're right, because maybe they're still not going to give a shit about accolades and titles. So we'll see. We'll see if they even care about World Tag League.
Yeah.
I digress. On to the finals. Night 19 happened August 12th in Budokan. And your final, Hiroshi Tanahashi from Block A defeating Kota Ibushi from Block B via pinfall to win the 28th annual G1 Climax. Your thoughts?
Wasn't my pick. I don't like being wrong. No, first of all, hell of a match. Hell of a match.
Absolutely, man.
Congrats to Hiroshi Tanahashi, the ace. You know what? It's again, it's one of those things where that guy just doesn't seem to ever like age in that sense. And you know, I've heard some people already say like, "Oh wow, I was surprised he won because he's one of those aging guys now that's, you know, doesn't retire." And someone even put him in the same sentence as Yuji Nagata, and it's like, well, look, he's not there yet.
No,
he's not. He's got more years under his belt before he reaches that level where he's, you know, just strictly wrestling with the young lions.
You know what? I think more so than any other time in the tournament, after the first match against Suzuki, where Suzuki just beat the piss out of him.
Yeah.
I really thought they were just going to set it up like, hey, this is him. He's battered and bruised. This is his excuse to not win this tournament.
Yeah.
I really thought that, man. And for him to bounce back and, you know, not only winning...
he won the rest of his matches besides the last one against Okada, which he didn't lose that one either.
Right. I mean, he went on a tear, and it was like, holy shit. Like, he could win it, and then he wins it. And you're like, what the fuck? So, yeah, I mean, the match was fucking awesome. Again, folks, it's one of those matches, a lot of those matches that happened in this tournament, go back and watch. They're fucking timeless because of their performance.
Yes.
It really doesn't get any better than that. And do yourself a favor and go watch it. If you need a subscription, 20x20crew.com/podcast/NJPW. It'll get you there. And again, $8 to $10 a month, US dollars. Well worth it. All 19 shows of the G1 Climax are in English. They have English commentary versions. So if you feel like you're missing anything, you won't be. But yeah, hell of a performance from both guys. And again, neither one of them my picks, but
yeah,
still.
I got half of them there. But I gotta so I gotta ask though, Hiroshi Tanahashi versus Kenny Omega, is that the right match?
And see, you know what? And see, this is like we kind of already half answered this question for myself during our conversation here, because right now that's not sitting right with me. And let's face it, the Ace has put this company on his back time and time again. He's not above making that sacrifice. So are you asking me personally whether that's the match that's going to happen at Wrestle Kingdom? Because if you are, my answer is no.
Okay.
That is not the match that's going to happen. I think they're going to put someone up against Tanahashi before January with that title shot on the line, and he loses it. I just don't know for sure who it is. It's either going to be Jay White or Tetsuya Naito in my mind. And if I have it my way, Jay White takes it first, and then Tetsuya Naito takes it second, and then we get to see Naito versus Omega at Wrestle Kingdom.
Is there any, in your opinion, is there any chance of Kota Ibushi getting in that mix?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, obviously he's the runner-up here in the tournament.
Right.
And, you know, it's not like he had a shit tournament, so...
Yeah. Say that again.
Especially with the whole Golden Lovers point of view you brought up earlier.
Right.
And if you remember, I called Omega winning the title.
Yeah.
Okay? The other part of that still has not come true. And that is, as far as him and Ibushi go, being the Golden Lovers, let's face it. I mean, if we're keeping tabs here, he owes him a receipt. who's not to say that Ibushi's whole part in all this is him costing Kenny Omega the title at Wrestle Kingdom?
That's a good point.
So,
but let me ask you this though: Tanahashi, Ibushi, Jay White, or Tetsuya Naito. If you were to, let's say this was video game style, and you got to pick the opponent, you can throw storylines in there if you want. You don't have to. Who's the guy that you want Kenny Omega to face?
Tetsuya Naito.
Tetsuya Naito all day.
All day.
And you and I are both in the same agreement that Kenny Omega is going to hold on to that title until at the very least January 4th.
Yes.
And it makes sense. So, Tetsuya Naito versus Kenny Omega. That's to me is it. But it leads to some very interesting complications that I don't want to dive too much in because we've done it before. But a lot of people are saying Kenny Omega is not going to be champion because of the whole contract situation, but his contract ends at the end of the month.
Yeah.
Man, if he loses that title at Wrestle Kingdom, it's going to turn a lot of stomachs because it's like, okay, he dropped the title. Now what? What's he going to do? And being Kenny Omega, I can see him fucking with people too.
I think it's the perfect breeding ground for such a situation.
Mm-hmm.
He loses the title. In my mind, he loses the title. His contract's not up until the end of January. Of course he's going to fuck with people.
Yeah.
How many times... Do you remember when he was in talks, or supposedly in talks, and he was supposed to show up for a Royal Rumble?
Yeah, that was just a couple years ago.
And so that's all that's going on, and that whole time, he's on Twitter, being cryptic and things like that, and and then come to find out, like, he did actually talk to them, but he decided that he wasn't going to go because he wants to be the best pop machine. I think if he loses against Naito,
or anybody,
or anybody in this scenario, they've already said, both Ring of Honor and New Japan, they both said they're going to do whatever it fucking takes to keep these guys there, working with them, as opposed to going to the WWE. I wholeheartedly believe that it will pan out that way. Because, there's a lot of money involved with Vince McMahon and the WWE. But I think if anybody is going to turn this kind of money down, it's going to be these four guys. I really do. Wholeheartedly, I believe that. I know there's people out there like, oh, you're fucking full of bullshit. If you want to peg me as such, peg me as such.
Well, I still feel there's more money to be made outside of WWE.
There is. They're making plenty of money and
to work less.
And guess what? The amount of control that they would lose.
All of it.
All of it. So, I hate to burst a lot of people's bubbles, but that's how I feel. I think they're going to stay, and I think this whole Omega losing the title in January is going to give them the perfect opportunity for him to take time off to heal, and what have you, just like he did. The Wrestle Kingdom from a few years ago, he had that fucking awesome match with Okada, fucked up his back on that table spot, and he took like a month off.
Right.
I think it happens the same fucking way. Maybe he doesn't get hurt, but he still takes that time off. Time to help renegotiate a deal, work out some kinks, and then he comes back and gets whatever the fuck he wants, including a trip to the Garden to be a part of that Super Show.
Yeah, history.
So,
one more last question about this. Kota Ibushi, how much, if any, how much of a role does he play in Kenny Omega staying? Or does that not affect?
I'm sure there's a little bit. Especially if they, especially if Ibushi is the reason he loses the heavyweight title at Wrestle Kingdom.
Yeah.
You have him take time off to, collect his thoughts and whatever and heal up or whatever, and then when he comes back, it's the beginning of like fucking all in all out warfare between the two of them. And dude, what? You mean to tell me?
Sells itself.
You mean to tell me no one would be excited to see that story build up from the time he comes back all the way through April?
Yeah.
When that Supercard show is?
Yeah.
Dude.
Ibushi versus Omega at the Garden?
At the Garden. You know? Fucking, you know, give them like no time limit or whatever stipulation you want to do to add to the attraction. I think I agree with you. I think it sells itself. And again,
do it at the Garden.
Maybe it's just me watching too much wrestling, but you know, I don't get them all right. But how many of you out there were on the same side as me when I called that Omega match with Wrestle Kingdom? So I got a little cred.
Yeah.
I got a little cred.
Yeah, I tend not to argue with you on things. Not that I want to in this case. But there's going to be so much more we're going to talk about throughout the rest of this year. Going into January, going into that, all these negotiations, all that stuff. And I don't want to take away from the thunder that was the G1 Climax 28. Overall thoughts?
You know, I've sat and watched previous editions of the G1 Climax, and I gotta say this is definitely one of my favorites. Maybe not my most favorite, but this is definitely one of my favorites.
Yeah.
And I really implore everyone listening, again, you don't have to go get a subscription from us. You know, that they're not one of our sponsors.
Nope.
That's kayfabe right there. We don't get anything from it. Other than the satisfaction that other people are out there enjoying New Japan Pro Wrestling like we are. So if you want to go grab you a subscription through us and just, you know, register a few clicks on our website, I mean, that always helps, but we don't get paid for it. And you can do that at 20x20crew.com/podcast/NJPW. You'll find all the information there. That's the G1 28 for me.
Yeah, it was definitely fun to watch the vast majority of these shows. Just like how it's always been for me too, man. It was such a great escape from everything that was going on in my personal life at the time, to be able to watch this kind of wrestling, see that passion that's in there with all 20 guys. You know, even the goofball Toriano. You know, to see that style of wrestling, man, it's fuck. It was such a great relief, man. Congrats to Hiroshi Tanahashi, the Ace. Yeah,
congrats, Ace.
Yeah, he wasn't my pick. He beat my pick actually. Kota Ibushi was my pick, but man, it's really cool to see Tanahashi in the spot right now. I don't know personally if I want him to lose that title shot just because of the traditional fan in me. It's like I don't like defending title shots. I've never been a fan of that. But
it's gonna help westernize their product.
It's gonna help westernize their product, and that's why I agree with what you're saying. And because I wasn't a fan when they did it last year. I mean, I know Naito still held on to it, but it was like, you know, then we have a briefcase and all that stuff. It's like,
yeah.
Looks awfully familiar. So, you know, but overall, I mean, no matter what happens, Tanahashi they can't take the G1 away from him, and you know, congrats to him on that. So, again, to sound extremely cheesy here, but yeah, anybody that watched the tournament is a true winner. But you get all these styles of professional wrestling all in one. Yeah, we kind of picked at some parts where we didn't like all the disqualifications and all that stuff, but overall you had really, really good wrestling, and you can't really, even if you pick things that you didn't like or don't like, as a whole, it was a fantastic thing to watch. And I implore anybody out there, especially you WWE marks that are tired of the product. I don't like this product. I am telling you right now, there's so much great shit out there. The G1 Climax will change your life then, if you don't know about it already. So get yourself a subscription. Again, we're not getting paid to say this. We're not we don't have that kind of connection with New Japan. We're just fans that support New Japan, have been for a number of years, and it's because of stuff like the G1 that can make us continue to support that product. So, congrats to all 20 guys in that tournament, man. It was a hell of a show.
Congratulations. And on that note, we're gonna end the show. We're gonna end this episode 27. Thank you for hanging in there. This is kind of a long one, but catch us on Facebook, facebook.com/20x20crew. Come talk to us on Facebook, facebook.com/group/20x20talk. You can hate tweet us on Twitter at 20x20crew. Catch us on Instagram. Remember, we got the Instagram promo coming up starting September 2nd.
Sunday, September 2nd.
The night after All In.
You want to win free stuff? All you got to do is have an Instagram account and like our page. Yeah. Follow our page.
And you can get more information for that. First of all, our Instagram is at instagram.com/20x20crew. But also, you can find more information on the contest at 20x20crew.com/podcast/Instagram. We are also on YouTube looking for subscribers. You know what? I offered a fucking ticket to All In as part of the subscription drive for YouTube, and we didn't get shit. So I don't know what you people want. I really don't. But we could always use more YouTube followers. We do have exclusive content on there in the form of the following contest, where we fantasy book stuff exclusively on YouTube. Again, check us out on YouTube at 20x20crew.com/podcast/YouTube. It'll bring you right to the channel. You can subscribe. Hit that subscribe button for us so you can stay up to date on fantasy bookings and come discuss the stuff with us. We just want you to love wrestling just as much as we do. Simple as that. And then, of course, our home base on the internet is 20x20crew.com, where you will find past episodes and links to merch and subscriptions and the whole nine. And anything and everything we have to offer is right there on our home base, 20x20crew.com. So until then, this has been Matt along with Joe, and we will see you in the ring.